Hello everyone, welcome on in. It's time for more Chaos Child. We're going to be starting chapter 9, and there's 10 total chapters for the routes, so we're on the second to last chapter for our first ending, which is exciting but also scary, because who knows what's going to happen. Definitely not me. And after what happened last time, I don't trust this game to be nice. In fact, I trust this game to be the exact opposite of nice. Yes, Chapter 9. A short chapter name is Duel, but there's a longer name, because of course there is. Chapter 8 really felt like a big betrayal, man. Really understood why that chapter is called that. I guess Duel will also be fairly self-explanatory too, then. Man. Let's get into Chapter 9. What could go wrong? Four days after Yui's death. The autopsy, the police interviews, all that came to an end, and Yui's body was sent in for cremation. Her soul became thin, pure white smoke and soared up to the heavens. Kurisu and I stood between the trees at the funeral home and watched it rise. And they say crematoriums now use filters and stuff, so they only give off plain smoke. I'd say something that didn't matter when Kurisu would only half listen. And we've been doing that for a while now. Dad was probably in the room where the family waited for the cremation to finish, holding Yuto in his strong arms the whole time. Yamazoe, Serika, Arimura, and Kazuki were probably watching, but they couldn't do anything. It's strange, you know? I was so sad at first, and I couldn't stop crying. But now I'm okay. Now I'm thinking about the cost of the funeral and what to do for her grave. I suppose that makes me a bit heartless, doesn't it? Even as she spoke, she looked thin and frail from her suffering, but there was a light, like gray flame in her eyes. I'd never seen her look like that before. No. There's no one else who can do that stuff but you. Dad looks so out of it these days. There isn't. Yeah. And besides, I'd already heard the muffled sobs that came from Kurisu's room late at night. After that, I moved back to Abador for the RV. From the RV, I can read words good. Kurisu, Yuto, Yamazoe, and Dad. All of them were shocked and saddened by Yui's death, if I were to leave them too. And I couldn't bear the idea of a lonely Abador without me or Yui. And when I was alone, I found myself remembering Yui, and I'd feel like I was going to go crazy. So I wanted to be with someone I could share my sorrows with. I was about to learn that this was what the family I tried to abandon was for, but for now, my head is full of thoughts of finding the person who'd done this to Yui.
Takuru.
Once the funeral's over, get a little rest. You don't look so good. Neither do you. You haven't gotten any rest either, right? I can't sleep at night. I have all these bad dreams, and I keep waking up.
ね、
Listen. Kurisu tightened her hands into small fists.
一晩だけでい
Just
い
for
か
one
ら
night. Can I
今度
sleep in your
タ
room?
クルの部屋で寝ちゃダメかな。
No.
Huh?
Of course not. It's Takaru. I wanted to immediately refuse, but she looked so tired and kept telling me that she couldn't sleep by herself, so I had no choice but to silently nod. When nothing was left of Yui but tiny white fragments, we used chopsticks to move her to the urn. Only after she'd lost most of her weight and fit inside the tiny urn did she finally attain a normal death. And that was one weight off of my shoulders. I didn't want her to stay in that horrible state forever. Yuto was shaking the whole time he'd moved his sister's ashes into the urn. But his eyes were empty, looking at nothing, and he wasn't screaming or crying. While Yui's classmates and teachers sobbed, he did his work mechanically with trembling hands. When it was done, he turned his empty eyes once more on what was left of his blah 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 blah. He turned his empty eyes once more on what was left of his sister.
Yuto,
Yuto,
僕
I'll
が必
find
ず
out who really did this.
本当の犯人を見つけ出してやるからな。約束する。
But he said nothing back to me. The funeral ended without incident. Yuki and Dad took Yuto back home by taxi. Kurisu and I said our goodbyes to Serika, Arimura, and Kazuki, then headed for home. We were walking slowly.
ユウト
I wonder if Yuto's
大丈夫
okay.
かな。
クルスや父さん
He's
もいる
got you
し、
and Dad.
何よ
More
り
than anything.
山添がずっとそばに
Yama's
つい
always
てる
with
か
him
ら。
all the time. The loss of Yuto's sister had brought back his PTSD, to the point where he was just as bad as he'd been after the earthquake. He'd mostly lost the ability to speak. He'd become extremely afraid of the dark, and sometimes he would go into convulsions. He'd been given special permission to leave the house to attend Yui's funeral, but normally he wasn't even allowed to sleep in his room. Dad had decided to put him up in a room in Alba Clinic.
不思議な巡り合
It's
わせ
strange how it worked out,
だ
huh?
な。
It was Yamazoe Uki of all people who was doing everything she could to take care of him. I felt like the reason we'd saved her and brought her to Alba Dorm was so that she, Yui's old friend, could take care of him in his hour of need. And when I told her that, Kurisu looked sad. It's just a coincidence, was all she said.
あのね、タクル。
Listen, Takaru. About
そのウキちゃんの
Uki-chan.
ことだけど。よかったらでいいんだけど
If you don't mind,
ね。そろ
could you
そろ
start
名前で
calling her
呼ん
by
で
her
あげて
first
くれない
name?
かな。
I felt that pain in the depths of my chest again. He loved him to death, but his cooked, oh no. Around 6 months ago, I switched from calling her Nono to Kurisu. Looking back, the reason was so stupid that just thinking about it made me mad. But part of me was stubborn, and part of me felt just a little too embarrassed, so I'd missed the chance to switch back. I knew that sometimes it made Kurisu sad.
その、
And I don't
僕は
mind,
別に
but
構わないけど、
would it bother Yamazoe?
山添はそれでいいのか？
実はウキちゃん
Yuki-chan
がね、
actually said that she
そう言って
liked it whenever people called
み
her
んな
by
に
her
名前
first
で呼んで
name.
もらって嬉しい
But
っ
she
て。
felt like she'd become part of the Alba Dorm's
なんだか、
family.
うちの家族になれたみたいだって。でも、
But I don't
ウ
want
キちゃ
her
ん
to
に
feel
は
like
家
she's
族み
part
た
of
い
the
じゃなくて、
family. I
本
want
当
her
の
to
家族
really
にな
be
って
part
ほ
of
し
the
いなって。
family.
そう思うから。ね。
You know? Kurisu smiled, probably for the first time today.
わかった。
Alright.
山
You want me to
添
call her Uki,
じゃなくて
not Yamazoe,
ウ
right?
キ
And I can do that.
了解。
ありがとう。
Thanks.
彼女
I'll
にも
tell
言
her
ってお
that she
く
can
わ。
call you Takari too.
タクルのこと名前で呼んでいいって。
あ
Yeah.
あ、あと、
Oh, and
それだったら
then...
さ、
And then should I... Can I start calling you Nono again? Just as I was about to ask her that.
宮代くん、クルスさん。
はい。
We suddenly heard a voice and turned around. Shinjo-san was standing there. He must have felt responsible for what happened, because there was no sign of his usual vitality. He mostly stared at the ground.
すまない。
And I'm sorry.
葬
I
儀に
wanted
出
to
よ
go
うと
to
思
the
ってたんだ
funeral,
が、
but I guess I
間に
didn't
合わな
make
かったみ
it.
たいだね。
そんな、
You don't have to worry
気を
about
使わな
that.
くてい
You're
いです
busy
よ。
with work, right?
お仕事相変わらず忙しいんでしょ。
今日は
The
病
examination
院
of
で
the
の検査
hospital
に
took longer
思
than
っ
I
たより時
thought.
間がかかってしまって。
検査
Examination?
伊藤くんの。
Nido-kun's. And the silence that had developed between Kurisu and I shattered in an instant.
意識が
He's
戻ったん
woken
です
up.
か？
合わせてください。
Let us see him,
お願いします。
please. But Shinjo-san shook his head.
いや、
No,
依然
he's still in a
昏睡
coma.
状態のままだ。
Oh, he is?
そう
I
ですか。
see.
でも、
But his
脳の
brain
検
showed
査
the
結果は
symptoms we'd
予想通りだっ
expected.
たよ。
肥大化が
Swelling?
ああ、
Yeah.
大脳
His
新
cerebral
皮質が
neocortex is
異常に
extremely
大きくなってい
enlarged.
る。
Kunosata-san says it's
さんの
more
見立て
severe
だと
than anything she's ever
これ
seen
までに見た
before.
どんな患者よりひどいそうだ。
Mm.
それだけ長
She
期
says
間
that
にわ
it's
たって
because he was subject to
しかも
very strong mind
強
control
力
for
な
such a
思考
long
誘導
time.
を受けていたんだろうと久野里さんは言っている。
じゃあ
And then
伊藤
he's
は無
innocent,
実ということに
right?
なりますよね。
I didn't want to think that my best friend had killed Yui of his own free will. I wanted to believe that he was someone else's puppet, like Kurisu had said.
君たちの言うよう
You're
に
right.
彼の
There was
後
someone
ろ
else
に
who
は
was
誰かが
controlling
いる
him.
はずだ。
And that's what I
少なく
think,
とも
at least.
俺はそう思う。
But there was some hesitation in his voice.
ただ
But that doesn't change
実
the
行犯
fact
が
that
伊藤君
he
である
did
こと
it.
に変わりはない
Kunosato-san
君たち
and
や
I
俺
know
や
how
久野
powerful
里
mind
さんな
control
ら
can be.
思考誘
So
導
we
が
can
い
say
か
for
に
sure
強
that
力
he
な
did
ものか
nothing
理
wrong.
解できるし
However,
伊藤君には罪がないと言い切れるが他の
the
捜
other
査員や
investigators,
検察
the prosecution and the
裁判所
judge
は
are likely to
そう
see
は
it
いかない。
differently. Of course,
無論
so is
世
the
間も
rest
だ。
of the world.
もちろん
And of
クル
course,
スさん
we're
の証
considering
言
the
をもとに
possibility of
彼が
brainwashing
洗脳
based
の
off
よう
of
なものを受け
Kurusu-san's
ていたという線
testimony.
で捜
But
査
none
を
of the
進めている
investigators are
が
quite sure what to do
捜
with
査員
it.
はみんな混乱してしまっている。とにかく不可
There's
解な
just too
点が多
much
い
that
ゆえ
doesn't
に
make sense.
裏
And
付
too
けす
much
ら
we
取りよ
can't
うの
back
ない
up
こと
with
ばかりだ。
evidence. And this all
全て
goes
が
way beyond what we
常識
normally
の範疇
handle.
を超えている。かといって
But we can't start
ギガロマ
babbling
ニアッ
about
クスだの
Gigalomaniac's
超能力だ
psychic
の
powers,
そんな
can
話
we?
をするわけにもいかないだろう。
Shinjo-san bit his lip.
そのせいもあって
And that's only one
今の
reason
捜
the
査
rest
方
of the
針に
department
疑
is
問を
starting to
抱き始
question
めて
how
いる
I'm
連中が
handling
増え
this
てきた。
case. There's a lot of
伊藤君に
evidence
不利な証
showing
拠も
up that's not
い
good
ろ
for
いろと出
Ida-kun
てきてしまっ
either.
ていてね。
どういうことですか？
What do you
それ
mean?
例えば
For instance,
なくした
do you
はずの
remember that
君のスマ
threatening
ホか
call
ら
that Ida-kun
伊
got
藤
from
君
your
のスマ
phone
ホ
after
に
you lost it?
脅迫まがいの無言電話があったろ。
はい。
Yes. Huh? Wait, was that Ito? But how?
単純なトリッ
It
ク
was
だ。
a simple trick.
彼の
There
ス
was an
マ
app
ホ
on
に
his phone
偽
that would
の着
display
信
a
と
fake
電話
call
番
and
号を
fake
表示
caller
するアプリ
info.
がイン
And
ス
it
トール
had
して
your
あっ
name and
て
phone number registered on
宮
it.
代くんの名前と電話番号が登録されていたよ。
God damn. So that was it. Why didn't I realize that? I know there was a freeware app that could do that. I remembered hearing how you were supposed to use it to end conversations with people you didn't want to talk to, or get out of meetings.
あと 彼のパソコン
We
から
found these strange chat
妙なチ
logs
ャッ
on
ト
his
の履歴が見つ
computer.
かってね。
チャット
Chat logs?
君たち
Does the name
エ
Ed
ド・ルー
Lucas
カスっ
mean
て名
anything
前
to you?
に聞き覚えはないか？
エド・ルー
Ed
カス。
Lucas. I apologize for being late. The test images? Spreading through Shibuya as expected. Continue to monitor the situation. Yes, I'm the target. No issues. There's no sign they know my identity. I'm close enough to kill Miyashiro Takuru at any time. Oof.
誰ですそれ？
Who's that? Both Kurisu and I looked confused. Neither of us had heard that name before.
それじゃあ、
Then what about
Ami-chan?
Ami-chan?
あ、それな
Oh,
ら、
I know that.
都市伝説の
And that's the urban legend. That was the character I snuck into AH Tokyo General Hospital to find when I was a kid.
いや、
No,
そのアミーちゃんじ
not
ゃない。
that one.
伊藤君
Logs
の
of
パソコンを
those
調
two
べたら
nicknames、chatting were
そう
found
い
on
うハンドル
Ido-kun's
ネームの2人が
computer.
頻繁にチャッ
Ed
トを行っ
Lucas
ていたん
was
だ。
Ido-kun's handle.
エド・ルーカスというのが伊藤君だ。チャットの内容
And
は
chat logs
一
consisted
連
of
の
a
殺人
discussion
や
of the murders
宮代君を
and
監
lots
視
of
している
details,
ような内容ばかり。
detailed observations about you,
犯行動機と
Miyashiro-kun.
して十分すぎ
It's
るく
more
らい
than
だね。
enough for a motive.
そん
And
な。
that can't be.
でも
But
その
if
チャ
you
ット
can
相手
find
を操作
who
すれ
he
ば
was chatting with,
真犯人
that's
の
a
手がかり
clue.
に
But Shijo-san balled his hands into fists.
もちろん、
And of course,
サイバー
I
犯罪
heard
対
the
策課に
blah
調べ
blah
させた
blah
よ。
blah blah. I had the cyber crimes division look into it,
その結
but what
果
they、found was
ア
that
ミーちゃん
Ami-chan
は存在
didn't
しなかった。
exist.
は
I agree. Huh?
どういうこと
What
で
do
す
you
か？
mean?
アミーちゃんの正
Ami-chan
体
was
も
also Ido-kun.
伊藤
He
君だ
was
ったんだ。
talking to himself.
彼は一人でチャットもどきをしていた。
But that's impossible.
どうして？
How?
これは
This is
黒里さんの
Kunosato-san's
説だが、
theory, but
伊藤
she
君の
thinks
心
that
は
Ido-kun's mind
長
had
期にわた
already
る
been
思考誘
destroyed
導
by
の
being
せいで
subject to mind
す
control
でに壊
over
れ
an
ていたん
extended
じゃない
period
か
of
と。
time. But since
法
mind
廷で
control
思考
won't be
誘導とい
recognized
う
in
能
a
力
court
の
of
存在
law,
が認めら
this
れない
evidence
以上、
is extremely
非常
damaging
に
to
まずい
him.
証拠になる。
It includes information that only
犯
the
人し
killer
か
could
知り得な
know.
い情報が含まれているんだ。
A new rage is building up within me. Whoever did that to you, he had also put Ido's mind under so much stress that it was shattered. Damn it all. I kicked a small rock on my feet. The rock collided with a nearby wall and split in two.
新庄さん
Juju-san,
このままだと
what's
人は
going
ど
to
うな
happen
るん
to
ですか
Ido at this rate?
そ
I
の
mean, legally.
法律的に
まだわから
And I
ない。
don't know.
未成年とはいえ、
But given what
事
he's
件だけに
accused of,
でも
but
真犯
that
人
would
が逮
change
捕
if
さ
the
れれ
real
ば別
killer's
ですよ
caught,
ね
right?
そう
They
すれ
could
ば
lessen the
どの罪だって
charges
軽く
then.
ダメだ。
No.
君
You
は
just
自分の
focus
身
on
を守る
protecting
ことだけ考え
yourselves.
ろ。
I'll find the
犯人な
killer.
ら俺が探す。
Chijo-san must have realized what I was trying to say because he cut me off.
犯人を探
To
すって
find him.
一
Where are
体
you
ど
even
こを
going
ど
to
う
start
探すつもり
looking?
なんですか
And even if you do
それ
find the
に犯
killer,
人が分か
what
って
can
も
you do against
気
the
軽マニアックス相
Kegomaniac?
手に新庄さんに何ができるんですこれまで
You haven't been able to do anything so far. That's why you made Ido. This wasn't fair. I knew it wasn't fair to him, but I was so frustrated and angry that I couldn't stop myself.
タクル。新庄さん
Chijo
は
San's
一
doing
生懸
everything
命
he
やってく
can.
れてる。
It's not right to blame him for
責めるのは
any of
違うわ。
this. I looked at Chijo-san's face, then looked away. He had the same pained look on his face that we'd had a moment ago.
すみません
I'm sorry.
つ
I
い
didn't mean...
いや、
No.
君の言
You're
う通り
absolutely
だ。
right. I
俺
still
は
don't know
君
how
たち
to
にどう謝
apologize
罪し
to
ていい
you.
のか、未だにわからない。 けれど
But please,
頼むから
don't put your lives in
命を危
danger.
険にさらすような
Especially
真似
you,
はしないでくれ
Miyashiro-kun. If you're thinking about doing something on November
11月4
4th,
日に何かしようと考えているのなら
11月
November
4日
4th?
ニュージェネレー
The
ション
day
の
of the
狂
last
気
new generation
最後の
madness,
事
isn't
件の
it?
日ですよね。
And that means that the
となれ
killer
ば
will do something on
その
that
日に
day.
真犯人は必ず動く。
Shinjo-san's expression became even more pained.
だから
So
宮
that's
代
why
君
Miyashiro-kun, blah, 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 whatever.
ダメか。
He must have seen how strong my resolve was. Because he turned toward Kurisu.
クルスさん
はい
Yes.
どうやら
Looks
俺
like
か
he's
ら
not
頼
going
ん
to
でも
listen
無駄
to
らし
me.
い
Can you keep an eye
宮
on
代
him
君
and
が
make
お
sure
かし
he
なことを
doesn't
し
do
ないよう
anything?
見張っててく
I
れな
don't
い
want
か
any more victims.
俺はこれ以上犠牲者を出したくない
Kurisu quietly nodded.
わかりました
I understand.
11月
I'll
4
watch
日が過ぎ
Takuri
るま
until the
で
end of November 4th.
タクルには
And
危
make
険
sure
な
he
ことを
doesn't do
させな
anything
いよう
dangerous.
注意しておきます
クルス
Something seemed strange about what she'd said, so I turned to look. But she had already bowed to Shinjo-san, who started walking toward Albador. Oh boy. Time for @channel. Crime. Latest victim chopped up and put into tiny little boxes. Too much even for me. So we've settled on minor indiscretion? That is fucked up. That's from the law of Tokyo passed banning depictions of sex between non-existent youths in anime and manga, right? Because of minor indiscretion. But that was like, what, 5 or 6 years ago? Does anybody even remember it? It's better than spit roasted for a chick who got burned to death. Hey, how about underage indiscretion? That makes it sound extra sexy. Hello? Little Yui, the underage girl. Little Yui, the underage girl, huh? And Yui was an XXX grader. So hot, hello? Much hotter than that guy from So Morbidly Obese, or the crazy old lady from Spit Roasted. BRB going to the bathroom? Gross. Officer, there's a pervert on this thread. Please. Anyway, the killer's not supposed to get caught. What do we do on 11-4, lol? Why don't you go do it yourself? Go make a minor indiscretion too? The police have been notified? Awesome. Lol, underage indiscretion, you guys play too many H games. So fucking true, they definitely do. Screw you, assholes! I had to stop myself from smashing the newspaper club's computer monitor. I came very close to depriving Kazuki from means of playing ESO too. Serika, Kazuki, Nanimida are watching me in shock from a corner of the room. Minor discretion. Fuck you. Yui died so goddamn horribly. So what the fuck are all you random assholes doing? Ganging up on her with what might as well be a second rape. Fuck all of you.
タク大
Are
丈
you
夫
okay? Zerika's worried voice brought me back to reality. My hands were red from when I'd slammed them on the desk, and they stung. They might swell up soon. No, sorry, everyone.
ごめん
And glanced one last time at the @channel comments, then closed the browser.
だから今朝警告した
I
ん
warned
で
you
すよ
this morning not to look
ア
at
ットチャンネル
@channel
は
for
し
a
ばら
little
く見ない
while.
方がいいってうん
いや
I was looking for
ネット上に
information
何
on
か
the
情
internet.
報が
I
ないか
couldn't
探
help
してて
myself.
つい
I should never have looked at that nest of self-proclaimed right-siders. They were nothing but idiots being cleverly manipulated by paid professionals.
いや
No,
それは
I
以
guess I
前の
used to
僕
be
も同じだったのか
I've been one of them too. At least up until Revolving Dead. But as I started to become a part of the murders, I began to realize how irresponsible and insensitive the information disseminated on the internet was, and how awful the reality could be. It was karma. I had once been proud of my status as a right-sider, but now the whole thing felt like a punishment.
もう見ちゃったんなら言っと
Since
き
you've
ますけ
already
ど
seen
ね。
it, I'll tell
伊
you.
藤先輩の個
Ito
人情
Senpai's
報も出ちゃ
personal
ってます
information
よ。
is up there too.
連続殺
We're
人犯か
talking
どうか
about
って
whether or not
話に
he's
なっ
the
てます。
killer.
ほんの少し
It
前は
was only a few days
南
ago
沢
that
千
we
里
were
の
all
ことで
convinced it
騒い
was
でたくせに
Minamisawa Senri. I stood up and picked up the map we'd pulled off the wall and put it back up on the board.
タク？どうするんです？
What are you going to do?
もう一度
I'm going to look at all the
これまでの情報を
information we
チェック
found
して
so far
見落とし
and
てい
make
る
sure
こと
we
がないか
didn't
調
miss
べている。
anything.
そ
There
こに
might be a
真犯
clue
人
to
に
the
つなが
real
るヒント
killer.
があるかもしれない。
Whoever did that to Yui, I wasn't letting them get away. I'd find them and then I'd...
それなら
Should we
ク
call
ラス先輩も呼ん
Kurisi
でき
senpai
まし
then?
ょうか。
いや、
No.
あいつ
She
は
says
生
she
徒会
wanted
の
to
仕事に
focus on
専念
helping
す
the
るって言っ
student
てた。
council. She
何で
just
もい
wants
いか
to
ら
keep
忙し
busy
く
no matter
働いてい
what.
たいって。そうしてないと
Otherwise, she
ユイの
remembers
こと
what
を思い
happened
出
to
してしまう
Yui.
からって。
そう
I
です
see.
か。
For some reason, Arimita looked suspicious for a second. It would take a while for me to figure out what her expression meant. At the time, I didn't really think anything of it.
最初の事件、
I wasn't
こっちみ
personally
んなと
involved in the first
2番目の
incident.
事件、
Don't look
お
where the
友レター
second
について
audio
は
played.
僕は
So
直
we
接
can
関
come
わっ
back
て
to
いない。
those later.
だから保留にしておくとして。3番目の
Let's
事
start
件、
with the third
回
case,
転デッド。
involving Dad.
ここからが本題だ。
私と初めて
That's where
会っ
you
たの
met
も
me,
この
wasn't
時
it?
でしたね。
あ
Yeah.
あ、で、
I've
あの
been
事件で
wondering
何
if
か
there
見
was
落としが
anything
なかっ
we
たか
missed
ずっ
there.
と考えてたんだけど、それほど重要じ
It
ゃ
was
ないと思
something
っ
we
て
haven't
放
talked
っておい
about
たこと
because
があ
we
ったんだ。
didn't think it was that important.
覚えてないか
Do you remember what it was, on the way? Huh?
何？
What is it? Locked door suddenly opened. Police didn't stop us with uniforms in Love Hotel. Should be hidden camera in Love Hotel room that shows killer. I mean, I think we already explained the locked door suddenly opened, right? I don't recall there's supposed to be a hidden camera in the Love Hotel room that would show the killer. I'll pick that one just to be sure, and if not, then it's definitely the locked door. And that stuff about the hotel owner putting a camera in the room so he could watch was just an urban legend. Even a Love Hotel, you weren't going to find one. Rethink that. Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. I mean, they dismissed it as Takaru's power. It's still not confirmed that it actually was, you know? No, okay, never mind. But I don't think the police not stopping them for the uniforms is that weird, but okay.
So,
Yeah.
僕と
You
お
and
前
I
は
were walking
ラ
through the
ブホの
Love
中
Hotel
を
in
こ
our
の制
school
服で歩いてたん
uniforms.
だ。
Normally.
普通なら
That
補導
policeman
さ
would
れ
have
るだろ。
stopped us for taking us in, right? I don't know.
うん。確かにそうですね。
That's right.
尾上がとっ
I
さに
thought
カ
that
ップル
Onoe
のふりをした
had
から
fooled him by
ごまかしたと
pretending we
思っ
were
た
a
けど、
couple, but
よく考
that
える
doesn't
と
make
やっ
any
ぱり変だ。
sense now that I think about it.
壁法の制服が目
Hegiho
立つ。
uniforms stand
警
out.
官が気づかないは
There's
ず
no
な
way
い
a
んだ。
policeman wouldn't
なのに
notice,
僕らは
but
そ
we
のま
were
まスルー
ignored.
された。
At the
あの
time,
時違和
it
感を
felt
覚えたんだよ。
strange.
うーん。
I think you're overthinking
考え
things,
すぎだ
Taku.
と思うけど。
いや、
No.
今思えばあ
Thinking
の警
back,
官、
that officer was
犯
probably
人に
being
思考
mind
誘導
controlled
され
by
てた
the
んじゃないだろう
killer.
か。
I guess that's possible.
ド
Mind controlled?
何のため
Why?
にです？
僕らを
To lead us to the
有村
murder
たちのい
scene
る
where
殺人現場へ
Arimura
導く
was.
ためとか。
だから
But
なぜそんな
why?
必要が？
それは
Like,
まだわ
don't
からな
know
い。
yet.
後でもう
Let's
一
come
度
back
考
to
えてみ
it.
る。
Serial killer wanted Miyashita Takaru to see murder scene? If the goal was to show me a brutal murder scene and lead me to Arimura, then why?
その次の事件で
Next was the murder of
この
Watabe,
学園で
the
ネット記者
internet
の渡部が
journalist at
殺
our
された。
school.
この事件にも
And
見
there's
逃
something
し
else
ている
that
ポイント
seems
がある。
strange here.
あの
I
時は
didn't
そ
really
れほ
think
ど
of
不
it
思議
at
だ
the
と思って
time,
なかった
but it
が
doesn't make sense looking
よく
back.
考えるとなんかおかしい。
おかしいって
What doesn't make
何が？
sense?
あの時
Tabe was
す
a
でに
famous
渡部が有名な
journalist
ネット記者だった
compared to him. Well,
それ
I
に比
hate
べ
to say
て
it, but we're not famous at
こんな
all.
ことは言いたく
We're
ないけ
just a
ど
high school newspaper
うち
club.
は有名でも何でもないただの高校の新聞部だろなのに渡部の方
Watabe
から
wanted to interview
僕らとのディ
us.
スカッションを申し込んできたんだ
そ
And
れっ
that's
て
because you beat him to the
宮
punch
代
with the
先輩
sumo
たちの方
stickers,
が
right?
歴史シールについての
And
情
then
報
there
が
was
早
that
くて
whole fuss about
で
plagiarism
ネットで
online.
パクリ
And
だ
he
って
came
騒
to
がれ
try
た
and
渡部さ
distract
んが
them
慌
from
ててご
that.
まかしに来たんじゃないんですか？そうだ
Yeah,
ったよね。
that's right.
ほらな
See, it
But
doesn't
Linda-
make sense.
う
Huh?
なんで？
Why?
有村やお前は
Neither of you
そ
are
れほど
heavy
ヘビーな
internet
ネット
users,
ユーザーじゃ
right?
ないよな
ええ、
Yeah,
まあ
I guess not.
普通
About
かな。
average, I guess.
そんな二人でさ
Yet
今
even
み
the
たい
two
に
of you
思っただ
thought that he was trying to distract
渡
the
部が
internet
自
from
分の
his
パクリをごまかし
plagiarism.
に来たってつまり僕
In
ら
other
と対談
words,
なんかしても
doing the interview with
渡部
us
の意
would
図
have
は
made
見
it
え見えで
obvious what he
余
was
計に炎
after.
上するだ
And
けだ
just
と
make
思う
things worse for his public
メリットなん
image.
かどこにもない
There's
だろ
nothing in it for him.
ああ、
Yeah,
確かに。
that's right.
その程度のこと
Watabe was an
ネッ
internet
ト記者と
journalist
し
for
て
a
やって
long
きた渡部
time.
に計
There's
算
no
でき
way
ない
he
はず
wouldn't
がない
have known that. Someone as clever as him was capable of coming up with fresher information fast and changing the subject. The internet was always hungry for new things to talk about. Give them a few big scoops and they would forget all about it.
う
Huh?
ーじゃあ
Then, what are you trying to say,
どういうことなの？
Taku?
これは
And this is just my
僕
idea
の
of
考えなん
what
だけど
Watabe wanted to buy us off to make him look good. Watabe was going to apologize for what he'd done at the interview. No. Watabe was mind controlled before the festival and could not make good decisions. I mean... Yeah, I don't think he wanted to buy them off. Or apologize. So probably this one. As funny as it sounds.
そう
And that's right.
渡部
He
自
probably
身すら
didn't
気
even
づいてな
realize
かったかも
this.
しれないけど
But I think he was being
僕ら
mind
に対
controlled
談
as
を
well.
申し込むよう思考を誘導されてたんじゃないかと思うそして
Until the
み
day
んな
of
の
the
注目
festival,
を集めた
when
ところ
everyone
で
was watching,
殺された
he was killed.
でも
But
Miyashiro
Miyashiro-senpai, this is the same as with the Love Hotel.
やっぱ
I
り
don't
動機
understand
が
the
わかりません。
What did the
犯人は
killer
何
want
が
to
したかった
do?
んです？
Their motive, huh?
動機か
Animiri was right. What was the point of making Watabe do that? What was their hidden goal?
分かった
Alright,
こ
I'll
の事件
think
につい
about
て
this a
も
little
もう
more.
少し考えてみる
I put a note about Watabe up on the board. Was Watabe mind controlled into asking to meet with us?
ちなみに
By the
渡部
way,
の体内か
we
ら
know
出てきた
that
シ
all
ー
the
ル
sumo
は
stickers
み
found
んな
in
偽
his
物
body
の
were
歴史シールだった
fakes.
ことが分かってる
どうして
Why
本
didn't they
物を
use
使わ
the
な
real
かったのか
ones?
な？
それは多分
Probably because the killer
犯
was
人
a
も能
psychic
力者だから
too.
だろう
The sumo stickers, aka the 11th Rorschach, has a terrible effect on the minds of psychics. Using real sumo stickers to kill Watabe would pose a serious risk to them as well.
犯行現場で
If
犯
the
人
killer
自身
had
が
their
誤っ
mind
て精
affected
神
like
汚染を受けたりすれ
Arimura
ば
did,
僕
they
や
might have
有
been
村と同
frozen
じよ
at
う
the
に
scene.
身動きが取れ
Then
なく
they
なってし
wouldn't
ま
have
う
been able to
そうなっ
escape.
たら逃げることができなくなるからな
確かに
Yeah.
あのシール
You're
を見
always
る
a
と
mess whenever you
各
see those
ひどいことにな
stickers.
るもんね。
Aribita nodded several times, frowning.
本当
I
に嫌で
really
すよね
hate those things.
あ
It's like
れなんていう
these
のか
nightmarish delusions just
悪夢
take
み
over
たい
your
な妄想
mind,
がどん
and
どん
eventually
心
you
の
stop
中に
being
広
sure
がって
what's
き
a
て
delusion and what's
そのう
reality.
ちそれが妄想なのか現実なのか分かんなくなって。
そうだ
You
な。
said it.
あの
Do you
夜の
remember
こと
that
覚えて
night,
るか
Aribita?
有村。
あの夜
That night?
僕と有村が
That night when you and I were
Pyrokinesis
attacked by the pyrokinetic
ハイダリコに襲われた
Rico.
時のことだ。あの夜は尾上
You
もい
were
た
there
よ
too, right, Onaway?
確
And you
か
came to my
お前が
RV.
僕のトレーラーハウスに来て、
のんちゃんの
And
話を
that's when I
聞い
asked
て
you
あ
to
げて
go
って
talk to
お
Nonchan,
願いした
right?
時だよね。でも私
But I went
特に
straight
そ
home
れ
after
だけ伝
that.
えて
I don't know
家
what
に帰っ
happened
ちゃったから
then.
な。その後のことは
そうか。
I see.
でも
But did you
家への
notice
帰り
anything
道
on your way home?
何かに気づかなかったか。
Hmm?
何か
What
って
do you mean? There were suddenly more sumo stickers around the park and city. The park was sealed off by the police, no. The pyrokinetic who pushed me at the park entrance, also no. Yeah, there were suddenly sumo stickers. Everywhere.
確かに
Yeah,
なん
I
か
remember
あ
those
ちこち
stickers
ベ
were all
タベ
over
タ
the
貼ってあった
place.
ね。
ああ、
Yeah,
僕はク
I
ルスに
wanted
会
to
おうと
go
思っ
see
て
Kurisu.
アーバリオへ向かっ
So
た
I
んだ。
headed to Albador.
ところが
But there
公
were
園や
sumo
街
stickers
中
all
の
over
歴
the
史シール
park
の
and
数がい
city.
きなり増えてた。しかも本物
And
の
they
シー
were
ル
real stickers.
11番目の
The
ロール
11th
シャッハが。そのせいで
And they almost
僕は
completely
精
took
神
over
を
my
完全に侵
mind.
食されそうになった。
All the stickers are real. Fair. Anibita seemed to remember what had happened. She gave a little scream and hugged herself tight.
あの
The
時期は
TV news and
いろんな
internet
テレ
were
ビ
all
番組
talking
やネッ
about
ト
the
で
sumo
歴
stickers
史シー
back
ルが話
then.
題になってたんですよ。そのせいで
So some idiots who
どんな
didn't
恐
know
ろ
what
しい
they
ものか知
were
らない
went
バ
and
カな
stuck
連中
them
が
up
面
everywhere
白が
for
って張り
fun.
まくってたん
The
です。
bastards.
迷惑な話です。
いや、
No.
よく
When
考
I
え
think
てみる
about
と、
it, I don't
ネッ
think
ト
you
や
can
テレビ
blame
の
the
せいじゃない
internet
よう
or
な気がするん
TV.
だ。
どう
What do
い
you
う
mean?
こ
I faced the rest of the group and chose my next words carefully as I tried to figure this out for myself.
あの夜もそうだ。
Whenever a story about the
僕
sumo
はネッ
stickers
トニュ
showed
ー
up
スや
on the
テレビ
internet
が
or
歴史
TV,
シールを話題
I
にす
would
るた
always
び
go
に
look at
ずっ
it.
とチェックをしてきた。でもニュースで
But all
扱
the
っている
stickers
の
on
は
the news
どれ
were
も偽の
fakes.
シールばかりだ
Very
った
few
ん
of
だ。
them were the actual 11th
本
Rorschach.
物の歴史シール11番目のロールシャッハ画像はほとんど出たことがない。つまり
Which means
テレビやネッ
that
ト
if
のシ
they
ー
were
ルを真
just
似て喜んで
copying
いるよう
what
な
they saw
連
on
中は
TV,
実
they
は
wouldn't
本
know
物
what
が
the
どん
real
なデザイ
design
ンなのか
looked
知ら
like.
ないんだよ。そんな連中の作っ
And
た
they
シ
could
ー
make
ル
a
なん
million
て
stickers
い
and it
くら
wouldn't
大量に
bother
貼っ
us,
てあっても
right?
怖くもなんともないだろう。
じゃあ
Then
どう
why
してあ
were
の
there
夜
so
は
many that night?
おそらく
It was probably
真
the
犯
real
人がやったん
killer.
だ。
They put the real
自分
stickers
も
up,
精神汚染
knowing
さ
the
れるかも
effect
し
it
れ
would
ないが、
have.
そのリスクを冒してまで本物のシールを貼って回った。その目的は
And their goal was
おそら
probably
く
to cause psychological pain and awaken us as Gigomaniacs, to call us as part of the return of New Generation Madness, to lead us to the Pyrokinetic. Well, the goal definitely wasn't to awaken them. It's either to lead them to the Pyrokinetic or to kill them as part of the New Gen Madness. Well, that night wasn't a New Gen Madness night, though, which is why they probably weren't actually killed as part of some of their theories. So I guess it only could have been to lead them to the Pyrokinetic.
あの夜
We kept
僕ら
running
はひた
from
す
the
らシール
stickers
から逃
that
げ回っ
night.
て、
行き着いた
I
先
ran
に
right into Haida
あの
Rico.
ハイダリコ
I
って
see.
人が現れた。
That's right.
なるほど。そうですね。
つまり犯人
In
は
other words,
シ
the
ールを
killer
使
led
っ
us
て
straight to
ハ
where
イダリ
Haida
コが
Rico
待ち
was
受けている
waiting.
場所へ僕らを誘導したんだ。そして
And Haida
ハイダ
Rico
リコは
attacked
僕らを襲
us.
ってきた。
でも
But when you think
考
about
えてみる
it,
と、
she was no
あ
different
の
than
人も
Ada
伊藤先輩
senpai.
と同じだっ
She
た
was
んです
being
ね。
mind controlled into
思考
attacking
を操られ
someone.
て犯人役をやらされただけ。かわい
And I
そ
feel
う。
bad for her.
ああ、
Yeah.
僕ら
And
は
the
真
real
犯
killer
人に完全
manipulated
に
us
はめら
into
れて、
thinking that she
彼
was
女を
Minami
南沢
Sawa's
千里だと
Henry.
思い込んでしまった。
And the killer even went through the trouble of preparing fake evidence.
証拠
And evidence, huh? The reason we completely
ハイ
believed
ダ
that
リコを
Haida Rico
南
was
沢千
Minami
里だと
Sawa's
完全
Henry
に信じ込んで
was...
しまったのは
Haida Rico called herself Minami Sawa Senri. Nope. Senri's old pic looked just like Haida Rico. Nope. Haida Rico had Minami Sawa Senri's ID card. Yup.
南沢
Minami
千里
Sawa
の
Senri's
ID カー
ID
ド
card. And that
あれに
completely
は完
fooled
全に騙
us.
された。
でも
But why
なん
does she
で
have
彼
that
女があのカー
card?
ドを持ってたんでしょうね。
その理由が
No
全くわ
idea.
からない。
It's a complete
完全に
mystery.
謎のままだ。
Where did Haida Rico get it?
思うんですけ
And
ど、
this is just an idea.
やっぱ
But the
り
real Minami
本
Sawa
物の
Senri
南
might
沢
be
千里が
alive.
生きてて、
She was trying to
ハ
pin
イ
the
ダリ
blame
コ
on
に罪
Haida
をかぶせよ
Rico.
うとしたんじゃ。
でもクルス
But
は
Kurisu kept
そんな
saying
ことあ
that's
りえないってず
impossible.
っと言ってる。
クルス先輩は
I think Kurisu
南
senpai
沢
is
千
just
里を
trying
か
to
ばってるだ
protect
けだと
her.
思います。
It's possible
下手を
that
すれば、
um
その
she's working with
共犯
Minami
かも
Sawa
しれませんよ。
Senri.
ちょ
Hey,
お前、
there are some
言っていい
things
こ
you
とと
just
悪い
shouldn't
ことがある
say.
ぞ。
I almost screamed it at Yumura. Was she trying to tell me that Kurisu had worked with the killer to do that to Yui? Mikazuki grabbed my shirt and stopped me.
うんうん。
She shook her head, as if telling me to calm down.
たく、
Taku, don't get mad. You're scaring me.
うん
Sorry,
悪い
Harimura. I owe you an
Harimura も
apology too.
すまなかった。
いえ、
No,
こっち
I'm
こそ
sorry.
軽はずみで
That
し
was careless of me.
た。でも、
But
宮代
Mishida
先輩、
senpai, if you're going to
疑うのであれ
suspect
ば
someone,
全てを
you
疑
should
ってみるべ
suspect
きです。
everyone.
以
You
前
remember that Kurisu
クルス
senpai
先輩
lied
が
in
私
front of
の
me
前で
once
嘘をつ
already,
いた
right?
の覚えてますよね。
She was right. Kurisu had insisted that Minami Sawa blah blah blah. Kurisu had insisted that Minami Sawa Senri was dead. But she hadn't actually seen her die.
もちろん、
Of course,
私
that
や
goes
セ
for
リ、
me,
花も
Seti
例
and
外じゃ
Hana
ないです
too.
よ。
そんなこと
But
言い出したら
that means I
誰も信
can't
用で
trust
きないじゃない
anybody.
か。
伊藤先輩
After
の
what
事件を
happened
考
with
えれ
Ida
ば、
senpai,
その
That's
くらい用
probably
心
a
し
good
た方が
idea.
いいという話。私、
I liked Ida senpai
結
a
構好
lot.
きだった
Of
んですよ。
course, I wasn't in love with
先
him or anything, but
もちろん
he
ラブ
was
とか
always
じゃ
so
ないですけど、
honest.
あんなに言葉がまっすぐで、裏表がなくて、たとえ嘘をつ
Even
い
if he
ても
lied,
バレバ
he
レで、
was always so obvious.
その嘘だって
And his lies were
誰か
never
を
the
傷
bad
つけるよう
kind
な
that hurt
悪い嘘じゃ
people.
なかったし、
He was a really good person,
すごく
so...
いい人だなって感じてました。だから、
So, for the
今
first
初めて
time,
思ってます。
I'm wishing I used my power
自分の能
better.
力をもっとちゃんと使えばよかったって。
有村。
ひなちゃん。これまで
Until now,
私
I'd
ずっ
always
と後
regretted
悔して
wishing
たん
for
で
this
す。
power. I'd
こんな
always
能
thought
力
it
が欲
was
しい
better
なん
not
て
to
思
know
って
the
しま
real
った
meaning
こと。
behind people's words.
結局、人の言葉の裏表なんて知らない方が幸せだったから。でも、
But Now I regret it even
今はもっ
more.
と後悔してます。私が能
If
力
I
を
used
ちゃ
my
んと
power
活かしてい
better,
れば、
I could have realized that something was wrong with what Ida
伊藤
senpai was
先輩の
saying.
言葉がどこか
I
お
could
か
have
しい
saved
ことに
Yui
気づくこと
san.
ができたはずです。そうしたら、ゆいさんだってあんなことには。
Arimina had such a sad look in her eyes.
いや、違う。
It's not your fault.
有村のせいじゃない。
I sighed a little and moved away from the map.
そろそろ昼
And
休
the
みの
time's
終わり
almost
だ。
over.
このくらい
That's
にしとこ
enough.
う。あと、
No, and
しば
we're
らく新聞
shutting
部の
down
活
the
動は
club for a
休止に
while.
する。
Mr.
涌井
Wakui
先
told
生に
us he
そう言わ
had
れてる
to.
し、
So
放
you
課
don't
後
need to
も集ま
come
らな
here
くていい
after
から。
school.
そっ
I
か、
see.
仕方ないです
I
ね。
guess you don't have a choice.
うん。
あ、
No,
でも、
because the
和
kid
樹
can
は
come
別
and
に
play ESO
演
too
奏
if
と
she
かプレイ
wants.
しに
I'll
来
leave
て
the
も構
door
わないからな。
unlocked.
部室の鍵はいつでも開けとく。
うん。
I forced myself to smile. Bekazuki softly lowered her eyes as if to say no. The sun set early in late autumn. Just like I'd said over lunch, there was no club meeting that day. I had a short conversation with Serika, and then headed straight for Albador. Even so, it was already starting to get dark, and it was easy to imagine some hidden attacker lurking in the shadows. And there was more than just fear inside me now. Of course, I was afraid of the murderer. I was afraid of being killed in some horrible way and of dying in incredible pain. But I could also feel a black rage rearing its ugly head inside of me. I'm going to pay for what you did to Yui. Whoever the fuck you are, I will find you and I will tear you into tiny, bloody little shreds. His feelings grew inside me with each passing moment. No, you're Miyashiro Takara-kun, right? Can we talk to you for a minute? And you were the first person to find the body, right? What was it like? The media was still camped out around Albra Dorm. And actually, because of what happened to Yui, there were more of them than ever. And now that we were victims, their minds that made them our self-appointed heroic defenders, they'd gotten even bolder. They say that it was your best friend who was the killer. Is that right? You must be shocked, aren't you? How do you want him to apologize to you? Why do you think your friend did this? Was there something bothering him? Shut up. Do you want me to do the same thing to you that he did to her? Several of the lights the reporters were holding shattered at the same time. And then I suddenly came back to my senses, shocked at the strong impulse I'd felt in the eerie light that the D-Sword was giving off. Today's still only November 2nd. Nothing will happen until the 4th. Nothing. I pushed my way past the media and ran inside the dorm, repeating those words as if they were a magic spell. I'm back. I tried to calm myself down and act like nothing had happened. If Ito heard me yelling, it would wake him up. Welcome back, Takuru-san. I saw tiny little Yamaza, Yuki, peeking at me from the kitchen. We still weren't used to calling each other by our first names. Dinner's almost done. Thank you. None of us, including Dad, really wanted to eat anything, but she made dinner every night anyway. And that's probably her own way of struggling against the sadness, I thought. Where are Dad and Kurisu? The doctor is with the police. It's about Yui-san. I see.
野さんは
Nana-san is
診
taking
察
care of
室でゆうとく
Yuta-kun
ん
in
の
the
看
exam
病を。
room.
うん。
Okay. Hey, Uki.
なあ、ウキ。
はい。
Yes.
今日はまだいい
It's
けど、
fine for today,
あさっ
but
て
2 days from now,
11月4日は
make
そう
sure
や
you're
って
not
一人
alone
に
at
なっちゃ
any
絶
point
対
in
にダメ
time.
だ。
Stay
みんな
with
と一緒にいる
everyone.
こと。
Don't go outside no
あと、
matter who tells you
誰
to.
に誘われて
Got
も
it.
絶対に外へ出ないこと。いいな。
それ
does
は
that
タ
include
クル
you,
さんでもで
Sakura-san?
すか？
ああ、
That's
そう
right.
だ。
Don't
誰も
trust
信用し
anyone.
ちゃダメだ。
I remember what Arimita had said, and my heart ached a little. Inki mumbled to herself for a moment, seemingly considering my words, then she nodded.
ちょっとユウトの様子を
I'll
見
go
てく
check on
れ。
Yuto.
じゃあ、
Please
野
tell
野さんに
Nana-san
もご
that
飯
dinner
だ
is
って
ready
伝えて
too.
ください。
I'll take care
ゆ
of
うとくんのお
Yuto-kun.
世話は私が交代しますから。
わかった。
Got it. I left the dining room and quietly went down the stairs to the clinic. When I opened the door, Yuto was lying on the bed and looking up at the ceiling. He was showing more emotion than he had been right after it happened, and he would answer when you spoke to him now. But he was being given strong psychotropics and spent most of his time asleep or barely alert.
ユウト、
ああ、
Oh,
おかえりなさい。
welcome home.
どうだ？
How are you doing?
うん、
Better.
よくな
I'm
った
fine
よ。
now.
もう平気。
He forced himself to smile, probably because he didn't want to worry me. But the muscles that controlled his face weren't working the way he wanted yet, and it looked more like he was about to cry.
Hmm?
Huh?
クルスは
Where's Kurisu? I looked around and didn't see her near the bed.
あっち、
Over there.
今眠
She's
ってる
asleep,
から、
so
そっと
leave
し
her
ておいてあげ
alone.
て。
I found her at the desk where Dad kept his work computer. She was face down on the desk, with her long hair covering the top half of her body. Her breathing was gentle and rhythmic. The computer was still on. She must have fallen asleep while working on it.
のの姉ちゃん、
Nixus hasn't
あん
been
まり寝
sleeping
てないみ
much.
たいなん
She's been
だ。
helping me.
僕
But
の
she's
世
also
話だ
doing
けじ
her
ゃなく
student
て、
counselor work
生徒
too.
会のお
She's
仕
always
事と
sitting
か
at the
いっ
computer.
ぱいあるみたいで、ずっとパソコンに向かってるし。僕な
I
ら
told her
も
I'm
う
fine
大丈
now,
夫って
but
言っ
she
てる
won't
のに。
listen.
大丈夫かどう
It's
か
Dad's
診
job
断
to
する
tell
の
you
は
when
父
you're
さんだろ
fine.
そうだけ
That's
ど。
true.
お前はあん
Don't
ま
worry
り
about
難しいこと考
stuff
え
too
るなよ。
much. Just
早く
focus on
元気に
getting
なれって
better. Neither of us would bring up Yui. We'd probably have to wait until Yuta was a lot more grown up. I tapped him on the shoulder, then grabbed the blanket off the other bed and softly walked over to Kurisu, rather. Even with the heater on, I figured she might catch cold if she slept in a place like this. But I froze when I saw what was on the computer screen. It was displaying several sites that dealt with the return of the new gen madness. And on the very front of was the video from Don't Look. It was paused right at the moment where the victim realized he'd sliced up his own arm and passed out in a puddle of blood, tears, and drool. And there's a newly bought notebook next to her, filled with words in her pretty handwriting. Some of it was names, locations, and times that overlapped with what we had on the map of the clubroom wall, but Kurisu had made several sharp insights of her own. For example, Incident 2. Why didn't the victim put on makeup for her last street performance? The mic controller is male. You didn't consider that a girl would need to put on makeup? It's Henry's ID card. No one but me knew that I buried it under the memorial in the remembrance of her. The killer had to read my mind to dig it up. The killers can read minds. Which means there aren't two killers when... There are two killers, one who can read minds and one who can control minds. Supports Takeru's multiple killers theory. There's page after page of it.
この短期間で
I'm amazed she put all
よくこれだ
this
け。
together in such a short time.
でも何のため
But
に
why?
うん
She must have sensed that I was staring at her because she moved a little. Her almond-shaped eyes slowly opened and she blinked several times. And then she raised her head and looked at me.
うん
Oh,
ああ
it's you,
な
Takuru?
んだタクルか
Welcome back.
おかえりなさい
ただい
I'm
ま。
home.
えっと
Here, have a
ほら
blanket
毛布
and you'll catch a
風邪
cold.
ひくぞ。
やだ
Oh no,
私
Did
居
I
眠
fall
りしちゃってたのね
I think.
ありが
And then she seemed to realize her mistake. She quickly reached out her hand to turn off the computer monitor and grabbed it. Listen, Takuru, this is...
これは
I refused to let go of her hand.
一
What are you
体何
doing,
なのタクル
Takuru?
それはこっち
That's
の
what I
セリフ
should be
だ。
asking you.
さっきのあ
So
れ
tell
が
me you're doing this
生
for
徒
the
会の仕
student
事だっていうの
council.
が。
Kirisu flinched a little. This is the exact opposite of how things usually went between us. It was always me who did the flinching.
そうだけど
It is.
そんなわけあ
Like
るかよ。
hell it is.
い
You're
痛いから
hurting me.
いい
Let
加減
go.
手離して
Monica kept holding on and glared at her for a while. At first, she squirmed a little, but eventually, her naturally strong will won out. She glared right back at me. I don't know how long we stayed like that, but surprisingly, it was Kurisu who gave up first. She silently put her other hand on top of mine. I'm sorry. Just
ごめんな
let me
さい
go.
だから話して
I relaxed my grip a little and shook her hand away.
なんで
Why are you doing this on
一
your
人であんな
own?
ことしてんだよ。まさか
You're-
自分
you're
一
not
人だけ
thinking
で
of
真
finding
犯
the
人を
real
探
killer
そう
on
なん
your
て
own,
思っ
are
てない
you?
よな。
And you're
誰も
trying to
巻き
keep
込ま
the
ない
rest
よう
of
にと
us
か。
out of it too.
それは
That's...
僕が同じ
You
ような
get
こと
mad
をし
if
た
I
ら
did
怒るく
that,
せ
but
に
you're allowed to.
自分はいいのかよ。自分は
Is that what this
い
is?
いのかよ。もしも犯人に
What if
目
the
をつけ
killer
られて
comes after you and you
ユ
end
イ
up
みたい
like
にされたら
Yui?
どうするんだ。そんなの
I don't want that to
冗
happen.
談じゃない。
タクル
Kurisu fell silent for a second after I spat out the words. And then she started to talk, hesitantly, as if she were uncertain of how to say what she was thinking.
前にタクル
I remember
が
what you said before,
言ってたでしょ
that it was like the case was pursuing
事
you
件が
now.
自分のことを追いかけてきてるみたいだって
ああ、
Yeah,
私も
it's the same for
そう
me.
なのこの事件
Ever
に
since
セ
I
ンリ
learned
が
that
関わってる
Senri
って
was
知っ
involved,
た時から
she's been pursuing me.
私はいつも彼女に追われてる
Senri? Minimi Asawa Senri? What does she mean by that? Didn't she say that Senri died in the Shibuya earthquake? Then that was a lie. And Senri was not after not only me, but Kurisu? Kurisu must have sensed my confusion because she shook her head.
センリは地
Senri
震で
died
死ん
in
だ
the
わ
earthquake.
そ
I
れ
know
は
that
間
for
違
a
いない
fact. And yet,
私を追いかけてくるのは
it feels like she's still
なんて言
pursuing
っ
me.
たらいいのかな
Don't know how to
彼女
describe
の
it.
亡霊なの
It's her ghost.
Huh?
My mouth hung open as I struggled to understand what she just said. I never imagined she would use an unscientific word like ghost.
なんだよ
What
そ
are
れ
you talking about?
意味が
I
わか
don't
らない
understand.
ごめん
I'm
なさい
sorry.
今
This
は
is all
ま
I
だ
can say right
これしか
now.
言えないの
I don't have the courage to
話
tell
す
you.
勇気が出ないから
Her face twisted in sorrow.
そうか
I see.
クルスには
Even after
まだ
everything,
たくさん
there's
僕
still
に言
so
えないこ
much
と
you
があ
won't
るんだ
tell me. Nothing's changed, huh? Kurisu. By the time I realized what I'd said, it was too late. And the pain in my heart had come back, the words had slipped out of my mouth. Even after I'd sworn that I was never going to say those words to her again. Just like I expected, she looked even more sad.
クルス
Kurisu, no,
違
I
うんだ
didn't mean
今のは
that.
本心じゃない
けど
But
前にも言
I
っただ
told
ろ
you before, right?
今の
I'm
僕は
different than who I
もう
used to
昔と
be.
は違うってそれに僕は
And
ちゃんと
I'm
今
right here in
こ
Albadorm,
こにいるじ
right?
ゃないか
If I was still going to get
まだ
mad or
怒ってたり
upset, I
キレてたり
wouldn't
したら
come back.
戻ってくるはずがない
Kurisu sat down on the bed, exhausted. I only realized that Yudo had left. I suddenly realized that Yudo had left. There we go, words. It was dinner time after all, and he probably thought the two of us wanted to be alone. There was a long, long silence after that. Neither Kurisu nor I said a word, and we just stared at different spots in the room. And eventually, Kurisu started to talk.
いつか
Someday.
いつか
Someday.
タクル
I'm
に
going
だ
to
け
tell
は
you all the things that I haven't been able to
私が言え
say.
ないでいること
It might make you hate
何
me
もか
again,
も全部
but I
話したい
still
と
have
思
to
って
say
る
it.
そのせいでまた嫌われちゃうかもしれないけどそれでも構わないその時
When
は
that time comes,
ちゃんと
will
最
you
後
let
ま
me
で
say
聞いてく
everything
れ
I
る
need to?
あ
Yeah,
ありがとう
thank you. And finally, she smiled. It was a weak smile, which looked as though it could fade at any second.
ねえタクル
Hey, Takuru,
覚えてる
do you remember the day you woke up
地震の
after
後
the earthquake?
昏睡から目を覚ました日のこと
あの時は
It was really out of it,
頭が
so
ぼーっとしてて
not really.
あんまりでも
But I remember
最
that
初
the
に見
first
たの
thing I
が
saw
クル
was
ス
you
の泣き顔だ
crying.
ったことだけははっきり覚えてるよ
そう
I see.
今考えると不思
Thinking
議だな
back, it's kind of
お前
strange.
なんで泣いてたんだ
Why were you crying?
嬉しかったか
Because
ら
I
よ
was happy you woke
目を覚
up.
ましてくれて
どうして
Why?
あの
Back
時
then
の
you
僕
and
と
I
ク
were
ルスは
still,
その
well,
まだ
strangers.
赤の他人だったろ
タクルはそうだっ
Maybe
た
that
かも
was
し
true
れ
for
ないけ
you.
ど
But I'd taken care
私
of
は
you
タク
for
ルの
over
こ
a
とを
year.
1年以
You're a
上
part
ず
of my
っと面倒
family.
見てきたのよ私にとって
And fragile smile was still on her face.
だからお姉
So
さ
I
ん
know
は
everything there is
タ
about
ク
you.
ルのことな
Even
ら
the stuff you're too
何でも
embarrassed to
知ってる
tell the
のよ
other girls.
恥ずかしくて他の女の子には言えないようなことまで全部ね
やめろよ
Stop it. You're not
そう
supposed
い
to
うこと
say
言うのは
that.
なしって約束だろ
そ
You're
うだっ
right.
たわね
Sorry.
ごめん
I won't do it
もう言
again.
わない
And then the silence returned. It was as if the two of us were trapped by memories of the past and had forgotten that time even existed.
あの
And then time started to move again.
Ah,
Oh,
so-
that's right. We
Wow.
missed dinner.
ほったらかしだった
I'm
悪い
いえ
No,
すぐに
I'll warm it
温
up
め直しま
again.
すから
ごめんねうっちゃん
Sorry, Uki-chan. A little smile before she disappeared. Uki may or may not have been able to tell what was going on between us, but she left for the upstairs dorm without another word.
タクル
Takuru,
先に
go
行っ
on
てて
ahead.
わかった
Sure.
あクルス
Kurisu. As she got up for the bed and headed for the dorm, I called out to her.
何
And what is it? Her soft chestnut hair flew upward as she spun around.
僕
I
はさ
As I looked into her beautifully colored eyes, I was finally able to say it.
も
I don't want to lose
う
any
家族
more
の
of my
誰も失い
family.
たくないんだ。
How long had it been since I'd called Kurisu part of my family? Her eyes went wide for a moment, and then suddenly she started to cry.
タク
だから
So,
本当に頼む。
Don't do this.
やめてくれ。
Don't try to find the
一
killer
人
on
で
your
犯
own.
人探しなんて
If
危険なこ
something
と。
happened to you, if what
もし
happened
も
to
お前
Yui
まで
happens to you,
あんなことに、ユイみたいなことになったら。あれ
that's
情けない。
pathetic. I'm not supposed to cry.
僕は情けない。
わかっ
Fine.
た。
I
もう
won't.
しない。だから、
Then you promise me
お願い。
to, Takeru.
タクルも
Promise
約
me
束
you
して、
won't leave me behind.
私を
That
残
you
して
won't disappear
行
on
っ
me.
てしまわないって。私を、
Yeah,
私、
I can't take it.
耐えら
I
れない
can't take all this sadness.
こんなに悲しいの耐えきれない
No. She probably didn't even know what she was doing. But she ran up to me and buried her face in my chest. Her face in my chest. I think I read that wrong, but that's okay. We move on. She wrapped her arms around me, as if she refused to let me go. And cried for a long, long time. I'm calling out Yui's name in a tiny voice.
クルス。
Until now, I had always been bothered by the idea of a family. I thought it was just a heavy, annoying chain that kept me stuck in one place.
でも、
I was wrong. Dad, Yui, Yuto, Kurisu, and even Uki now. They were all part of my family. It was only then that it really hit me that Yui was gone forever. I held Kurisu's frail body tight and cried like a baby for a long, long time. November 3rd. The school was empty since it had closed for Culture Day. Of course, no one from the newspaper club was there, and the room was quiet and empty. I'd been there alone since lunchtime. I wasn't sure how many hours I'd been staring at the map, looking for a clue that pointed toward the serial killer. I had until tonight. Once it was past midnight, November 4th would be here. And then the final return of the New Gen Madness murder would happen at any time. The killer was probably getting ready right now. Marked the deaths for Haida and Yui. Who was their last target? Was it me, Arimura, Uki, or someone I didn't know at all? Arimura had already said she would spend the night at Alba Dorm, and asked her to stay with Yuki and the others at all times. With their power, we would be able to avoid a repeat of what happened to Yui. And I'm
ごめんな、クルス。
sorry, Kurisu.
僕は
I'm a
嘘つき。
liar. I would find the real killer and make sure they came after me. And then, I'd take revenge for Yui. Yesterday, I'd spoken with Arimura and the others and gone over the things that didn't make sense. When we talked, there were a few things we'd left to come back to later.
まず、
First, the third case, involving
回転テン
Dad.
ト。
Why did the policeman ignore us when he saw us inside the Love Hotel wearing Heikiho uniforms? The answer was probably what I'd initially thought, that the officer was being mind-controlled. The only reason I could think of was that the killer wanted me to be at the scene. But I couldn't figure out why. So, why not think about it another way? What if I hadn't gone there? Why would that cause a problem for them? I might not have noticed the connection between the stickers in the case. I might not have noticed my power was telekinesis. I might not have seen a person die in front of me for real. Ooh. Hmm. I guess not noticing the telekinesis power would be the problem for them, since their goal is to kill, like, gigalomaniacs. And if you never realized at some point, you know. That's my first guess anyway. It's true that where I met Arimura and Kunosato-san, that's where I met Arimura and Kunosato-san, which is how I learned I was a gigalomaniac. But it wasn't through this case that I learned I could use telekinesis. I should rethink this. Okay. What would have happened if I hadn't gone to the Love Hotel? No, it's definitely not just this case for the stickers that made him, like, realize. So I guess it's the seeing a person die, because that's the only thing unique to this case for sure. Not seeing a person die for real, for real. It's true that I witnessed Kakita-san's death, but I'd seen more people die through the Shibuya earthquake. That wasn't the first time I'd seen someone's death. Okay, fine. I should try something else. Man. Okay, so then it is because of the stupid stickers. And that's right. I'd taken that video without even thinking about it, and after analyzing it 100 times, I'd found the sumo sticker. Right. And then I found the other stickers of the other murder sites. Then I made a video connecting the murders to the sumo stickers and uploaded it to the internet. And because of that video, our minor little newspaper club site had gotten an incredible number of hits. No, wait a second. Did the killers send me there to benefit the newspaper club? And that's ridiculous. I found and crumpled up the paper where I'd written newspaper club site hits and threw it in the trash. And then I glared at the map again. I looked at the next note that I looked at the next note that we'd marked to come back to. It's about Watabe, and the fourth incident, so morbidly obese. And the real reason that our site had gotten so many hits was that Watabe, the famous internet journalist, had gotten involved. And that's why he decided to hold an interview with us. But just like I said yesterday, I couldn't figure out why. An interview would have done nothing but fuel the flame more. So I guess that Watabe had already been under control of the killer. Wait, which means the killer stood to gain something from having Watabe meet with us, right? Who stood to gain by having Watabe come to Heikiho? Heikiho Academy Student Council, Heikiho Academy Newspaper Club, Heikiho Academy Literature Club. Well, definitely not the Literature Club, and probably not the City Council. Newspaper Club for sure, though. Your favorite parts of this game is when Takaru goes detective mode. That's fair. That's right. We in the newspaper club were the ones who stood to gain something. I glanced at the paper I just thrown in the trash. The red newspaper club site hits. We were kind of famous because of the video we'd uploaded about the sumo stickers. The arrival of Watabe, the famous reporter, only increased that. And then, just as the discussion was about to start, Watabe had become a victim of the return of the new gen madness. What could be more sensational than that?
まるで
It's like they were trying to make the newspaper club famous.
どうして犯人はそんなこと
And after that, the newspaper club got deeper and deeper into the case. And then the case became more than just something that we reported on. It went through things that no high school newspaper club would ever experience and felt excitement, terror, and surprise. Damn it, they've just been toying with the newspaper club. Part of that was the attack on me and Arimura by the pyrokinetic. Even then, the killer had shown signs of toying with us.
あの時
It wasn't Minami-sawa Senri who attacked us. It was another woman named Haida
南沢千
Riko.
里じゃなくハイダリコという他人だった
But the killer had Minami-sawa Senri's ID card. That was what had us fooled, and had also almost sent the case off in the wrong direction.
でも
But last
あの
night,
ID カ
I
ードの
finally
ことだ
solved
け
the
が
mystery of the ID
ゆうべよう
card.
やく解けた
Oh yeah. Because I'd seen this about Minami-sawa Senri's ID card in Kurisu's notes. Kurisu put ID card under memorial, but killer read her mind and dug it up. Kurisu hid ID card in her room, but killer read her mind and stole it. No. Kurisu remembered a sign of ID card, killer read her mind and copied it. That would be a lot of dedication. Well, no. Just Kurisu buried it and the killer dug it up. And that's right. This is what it said in Kurisu's notes. Senri's ID card. No one but me knew that I buried it under the memorial in remembrance of her. The killer had to read my mind to dig it up. The killers can read minds. It was safe to assume that she was right, and the killer had read her mind and taken the ID card from the memorial. But what was the reason?
真犯人は
Why did the killer
ど
want
う
to
し
make
て
it look
南
like
沢千里
Minami-sawa
が
Senri
僕を
was
襲ってきてる
attacking
ように見
us?
せたかったんだ
What was the point?
一体何を狙って
Tried to expose human experiments by making Minami-sawa Senri famous. That seems actually pretty likely. Tried to terrify me by bringing up my past trauma. Tried to drive Ito, who loved Senri, into committing crimes. Yeah, no. He didn't actually know her before. He couldn't have possibly actually loved her. So, tried to expose the human experiments. No, that can't be right. Oh. The killer didn't seem to have any noble goal like that. Think again. Okay, fine.
真犯人はどうして南沢千里が僕を襲ってきてるように見せたかったんだ
Definitely not the driving Ito who loved Senri because he couldn't have actually loved her before. So I guess terrifying through past trauma, PTSD. And that's right. I feel like the killer was using Minami-sawa Senri to take advantage of my trauma. In fact, I felt terrified many times because of that.
いや
No, wait,
ちょっと
what
待っ
that
てくれ
means...
ってことは
I spoke aloud without even realizing it.
真犯
The
人
killer
の
isn't
狙いは
after the newspaper club,
新聞部じゃなく
and they're after me.
この僕だっていうのかそんな
That's
バカ
impossible. There was no way they could have committed all these murders just to mess with me. It made no sense and was far too elaborate. And for all the effort they put into it, there was something that didn't make sense of the incident with Ito and Yui. That was... revenge for a girl you once loved, too pathetic to be a motive. From the order, Uki, not Yui, should have been the next target. I don't think so. It makes no sense to turn Ito into killer if motive is vengeance. He didn't know her. Yep, that one. I think. Anyway,
そうなんだ
that's right.
あの
There
事
was
件
no point in making
人
Ito
を
out
犯
to
人
be
に
the
仕立て上げる
killer.
意味が全くないいやそれどころ
No,
か
in fact,
伊藤を
making
犯
Ito
人
the
にする
killer
の
was the
は明ら
wrong
かに
thing
間違
to
ってる
do. If the point was to make it look like this was Minamisawa Senri's revenge, there were other people who would make more sense. For example, though it was scary to even think about it, Minamisawa Senri's best friends, Kurisu and Kawahara. If one of them had committed the murder, the police never would have become suspicious at all. It's possible that we might not have even figured out that mind control was involved. This whole thing could have ended with the assumption that it was a plot to get revenge for an old friend. So, why did the killer choose Ito when he wasn't involved? And why did they make him tell lies that would be easily found out? What was the point? It's like they're trying to tell us that Ito was just a puppet and the real killer was someone else. Suddenly, I stood up from my chair. Is that what they're after? And the killer deliberately chose Ito, who had no motive at all to commit the crime. And of course, we'd realized that immediately and started looking even harder for the real killer. But none of the cops except for Shinjo-san would believe in psychic powers. Out of the media's speculation and the public's confusion and interest would only grow. That was exactly what had happened. More and more pundits and commentators were arguing over whether Ito, whom they always called Boy A, was really the killer. And of course, multiple threats showed up on the channel simultaneously, declaring both his innocence and his guilt. There were even threads speculating about who the true killer might be, and they showed no signs of stopping. And tomorrow was the 4th. From midnight tonight to midnight tomorrow, the whole city would be waiting with bated breath to see the killer's next move. What if the killer actually planned all of this? It was like they were challenging me to a game. They lured me in with the return of the new Gen Madness, which they knew I'd taken interest in. They used Minamisawa Senri to drive me into a corner from which I couldn't escape. They were moving everyone around for their own ends, both wrong-siders and self-proclaimed right-siders, like chess pieces on a board. And they wanted me, the other player, to try and stop the last murder on November 4th. I put my hand on my forehead and stared at the map, unable to believe it. That was the only reason. And they killed all those people just for that? That's why they did that to Yui? No, this is a delusion. This is all my delusion. I could hear that I was whispering to myself. That's right. There has to be some greater conspiracy going on here. There's some huge conspiracy that will shake the world to its core. And we've been caught up in that huge plan, and that was why this was happening to us. That had to be it. Suddenly, I heard the sound of a ringing phone. Phone jump scare. I quickly looked around for the source. It was my smartphone, which I'd kept inside my bag. I quickly pulled it out and looked at the screen. Shinjo-san had been visiting Ito in the hospital every day, since he was the one in charge of Yui's case. If he was calling, that meant... I forced myself to stay calm as I hit the answer button. Yes, did Ito wake up? Yeah, 2 hours ago. 2 hours? Why didn't you tell me sooner? Don't ask me for the impossible. I was waiting for the other officers to leave the room. If they even caught me talking to you, I'd be punished. But what about Ito? Is he okay? Yeah. He's a lot more alert. He can talk. But, well, Kunosato-san. I could hear Kunosato-san's voice on the other end of the phone. And there's damage not only to his neocortex, but his hippocampus and language center too. I can't guarantee that damage won't be permanent if he pushes himself too hard. And that's the situation. But he says he wants to talk to you
どうしても
anyway.
君と話したいと言ってる。
はい
Okay,
いいか。
ready? I'm putting him on.
はい
Okay. I gulped down the saliva in my mouth. Suddenly, I felt a terrible uncertainty in my heart. What was I supposed to say to Ito? Even he'd been mind-controlled, he was still the one who chopped up my little sister. But I didn't hear any sound coming from the phone.
伊藤
I heard the sound of a deep breath on the other side of the phone.
伊藤
Ito,
大丈夫か
are you okay? And then, that was all I could say.
宮代。
あどう
Yeah,
だ
it's me.
許して。
Forgive me. Forgive me, please.
頼む。
何
What? I
俺は
killed Yui-chan.
ゆいちゃんのこと殺す。
いい
No,
So
don't
Rachel,
say
you're not
another
the-
word. I tried to cut him off, but he ignored me and started crying.
でも
But Yui-chan was your little sister, and I killed her with my own hands. It's no good. Even if I killed myself, it wouldn't atone for this, would it, Miyashiro?
ダメだ。俺が死んだくらいじゃこの罪は償えない。償えないだろ宮代。
なんだよ
What
そ
are
れ
you talking
死ぬ
about?
とか言う
Are
な
you saying you're going to die?
しっかりしろ。
Snap out of it, Ito-kun. Changes on yells overlapped with my words.
いいか
Listen to me.
僕はお前が
I
ユイ
don't
にあんな
think you
ことを
did
した
that
と
to
は思って
Yui.
ない
Someone else is the
本当
real
の犯人は別にい
killer.
る
The real killer.
犯人。
あ
Yeah,
お前
you're
は無実
innocent.
なんだよ なんでもいい
Just
思い出
try
して
and remember.
お前
Someone
誰か
did
に何
something
か
to
され
you,
たんだろ
right?
なあ
Right?
誰か
Someone did
何か
something?
そうだ
That's right.
お前に思考
Who
誘導
was the
をか
one
けたやつは
controlling
誰
your
なの
mind? Suddenly, I heard him scream in pain on the other end of the phone.
伊藤
どうした
What's wrong? Hey, stop it. Make him stop. His brainwaves are abnormal.
何
What? His mind is still being controlled. It's been set up to keep us from getting information out of him. What? At this rate, it'll destroy his hippocampus.
聞こえたか
Did you hear that, Miyashiro-kun?
終わりだ
We're done. I'm hanging up. Wait. Please wait. Still hang up.
電話切らないでくれ
Ito's son screams cut him off. I can almost remember. Just a little more.
伊藤君
伊藤
Ito,
もういい
that's
やめろ
enough. Stop. But Ito didn't stop. He was trying his hardest, all while enduring horrific pain, to tell me something.
宮代
I think it was
あれ
in
は
the club room.
物質
The club room?
いつだ
I
った
do
か
remember when
わからない
there was someone else there with
俺
me.
の他にもう一人誰かがいてダメだ
No, no more. Shut up. I'm still talking to Miyashiro. Don't hang up.
切るな
伊藤
Ito,
ゆいちゃん
if
の
I can avenge Yui-chan,
仇が取
I
れる
don't
な
care what happens to my mind.
こんな頭どうなったって
Hmm. Even from here, I could sense his incredible determination. Are you listening, Miyashiro?
あ、
Yeah,
聞いてる
I'm listening.
そい
I
つと
talked with them for a while, and then... Oh, that's right. They showed me a picture of you on a phone.
いきなりスマホでお前の写真を見せてきたんだ。
僕の
A
写真
picture of me. Yeah. I don't remember what the photo was,
どんな写真だった
but
か。
I remember I was surprised.
でも驚いたのは覚えてる。なんで
I was surprised
驚いたの
because
か。
you look so happy. You were the people from Albert
宮代が楽しそうに
I
してたん
never
だ。
seen you look like that before.
青葉寮の人たちとあんな宮代初めて見たから。
A picture from Alba dorm? What is he talking about? There were no photos like that.
それで
And then... That's right. I remember. They left and pointed at someone.
そいつは笑いながら指さしたんだよ。この子
Kill this girl, they said. Yui. It was Yui. The killer had a picture of me and Yui together.
それで
I got scared and tried to run
怖く
away.
なって逃げよう
And then
としたら
someone else opened the door and came in.
ドアからもう一人入ってきて、その二人
And then the two of them. The two of them. Stop it. Stop. What are you doing? Stop.
伊藤
Ito.
Ito!
Ito.
おい
Hey, Ito-kun. His mind had finally reached its limits. And there was one last scream of terror and then nothing. He didn't answer no matter how many times I yelled his name. All I heard was meaningless mumbling. He didn't seem to know where he was or what he was doing anymore.
宮代君
Mishiro-kun, I'm
残念
sorry,
だが
but he can't talk anymore.
久野里さんに代わって
Give
く
the
だ
phone
さ
to
い
Kunosato-san.
え
Huh?
いいから
Just do
早
it,
く
hurry! A moment later, Kunosato-san answered the phone in a cold voice.
何かよ
Do you need something? You little bitch. Anyways.
お願いです
Help
伊藤を
Ito.
助けてください
こいつに無
You're
理を
the
さ
one
せた
who
のは
made him
お前だろ
talk. Why are you asking me for this now?
この事件が
Once
解
this
決
is
した
over,
ら
you can use me as a guinea pig for your experiments. So
だからお願い
please.
します
I heard a mocking laughter in her voice.
ほう
No. I couldn't take you seriously, you know.
確かに聞いたぞ
やりたく
Do
ても
whatever you
勝手に
want,
してく
just
だ
save
さいだから
Ito.
伊藤
わかった
Fine. I'll do what I
で
can.
きるだけのことはして
But
み
don't
よ
get
う
your hopes up too
ただ
much.
し過度の期待はするなよ
And then she hung up the phone. No matter how many times I called back, she didn't answer. Maybe one of the other police officers besides Shinjo-san had come into the room.
伊藤
Damn. In the very end, he endured horrific pain just to give me that information. Thinking back, what he told me was crucial. It was a cold autumn evening, but I could still feel a cold sweat forming on my forehead.
伊藤に思考
The
誘
person
導
who
をかけ
controlled
た
Ito's
犯人
mind
が
was once here in
伊
this
藤と
room.
一緒にこの部室に
I tried to drive my tired, exhausted mind to fit in this last piece of the puzzle.
そんな
But
バ
that
カ
can't be it.
そ
It
れじゃ
makes it sound like the real killer.
まるで真犯人が
Like the real killer had to be one of us. I couldn't believe it. I didn't want to believe it. But that was the hint Ito had given me. And maybe that hint was also...
犯人からの
Maybe that was also a message from the killer. And the fact that Ito had woken up right before November 4th. The fact that he'd given me that information. It all seemed like part of the killer's next move. Damn it. That's what you want, then I'll play along.
こっちだってやってやる。
Even if it's just what you want. I will find you. Ito's first hint. The killer was talking with Ito in private in the newspaper club room. Which meant that it was someone close enough to Ito to have a chat like that.
しかも
Someone who was belonged to the newspaper club. The process of elimination, who can I rule out? Which of these people can't be a suspect? Oh man. Well, can't be Shinjo because it's not of the newspaper club. It's probably safe to take Shinjo-san off the list of suspects. Ito and Shinjo-san had only met after I got on the call from my old smartphone. Yeah, it was safe to rule him out. Probably not Mio. I'd only met Kunosato-san. That's right, it was after Ito had faked the call. We hadn't met before that point, which meant it didn't match with Ito's evidence. I could eliminate her. Probably not Kawahara-kun. Yeah, I could take Kawahara-kun off the list. He was friends with Kurisu, but not that close to Ito. And because of Kurisu, he didn't like the newspaper club. It was hard to imagine the two of them talking in private here. Probably not Yuki either, because while she's been here, not just those two alone, I don't think. Yeah, I could definitely rule out Yuki. There was that call from my missing phone that Ito had received. At first, I thought that was her doing, but now I know that Ito had done it all himself. If she and Ito were working together, there would have been no need for him to install that app. He could have just had Yuki make the call. So I could rule her out. Well, it can't be her because she doesn't talk. I could rule out Kazuki. Even when she was in the club room, she was always playing ESO too. She never spoke to anyone. Even if she was alone with Ito, she never would have talked to him. Kazuki Hana, Yamazawa Yuki, Kunosato Mio, Shinjo Takashi, Kawahara Masashi. I could definitely rule out these 5. Which left?
そして
And if I use
伊藤の言葉
Ito's
がさらに
evidence to
絞
narrow
り
it
込む
down
なら
further,
そい
and
つと
talked with them for a while, and then
そしたら
that's right. They showed me a picture of you on a
い
phone.
きなりスマホでお前の写真を見せてきたんだ。
And the killer had a picture of me. And a picture of me on Alba dorm with Yui. If I was smiling, that meant it was a pretty old one. If nothing else, it had to be from before I left to go live by myself in the park.
そんな
And the only
昔の
ones
写
who could
真を
show you that picture
伊
were
藤に見せること
probably...
ができるのは多分
There were only 3 people who could have done it. Well, obviously, himself. All my old photos of myself and the people at Alba dorm had been lost along with my cell phone at H Tokyo General Hospital. And that phone still hadn't been found yet. In other words, since I didn't currently have any photos like that, I couldn't be the killer. For a moment I was relieved, but then I realized my mistake. When had someone begun controlling Ito's mind? I didn't know. Maybe it was from before I dropped my phone. So it's possible that I could have shown Ito the old photo. In other words, I couldn't rule myself out.
そんな
And the only
昔の
ones who
写
could have
真
shown
を
Ito that
伊
picture
藤
were
に見せることが
probably...
できるのは多分
I mean, I'm thinking it could have been whoever recovered his phone, but, you know, that's not an option on the board right now. Sarika might be the only other, because he said there's 3. But let me get Kurisu out of the way, because she definitely could have. Kurusu would have pictures of everyone from Alba dorm, obviously. And probably old photos of me too. Which meant she fit the criteria of the real killer.
そんな
Well,
昔の
let's
写
go
真
show
を
me with a picture
人
probably.
に見せることができるのは
Out of these three, Serika is definitely the most likely. Serika was my childhood friend. She'd known me for longer than anyone else here. Of course, she probably had plenty of old photos of me. And when I'd lived at Alba dorm, she'd come over almost every day. She'd gotten along with everyone. And of course, she had a pic photo of Yui too. In other words, she fit the criteria to be the real killer.
そして残った
So I'm left with
この
these
三
three,
人
huh? I pursed my lips as I stared at the photos on the map.
この中
The real killer
真犯
was
人
one
が
of these three people.
クルス
Kurisu,
お
oh no
前
wait, or me?
あるいは僕ニュージェネの狂気
One
の
of us
最大
was
事
the
件
person who killed all those
能力者た
psychics.
ちを無残
And
に
did
殺
that
し
to Yui?
ユイをあんな姿に変えた犯人か
I come up with a lot of different theories, but looking back at them, they all seemed so impossible. At some point, the setting sun had disappeared beyond the artificial horizon created by the city's skyline. Night was falling. How many hours were left till November 4th began? I grabbed my bag and ran out of the room. I wanted something. Some form of unshakable evidence. Evidence proving who the killer was.
いや違う
No,
そう
that's
じゃ
not
ないん
right.
だ
That's not right. That's not what I wanted. What I wanted was proof that neither Kurisu, Serika, nor I was the killer. I pushed my way through the immediate camps that still crowded around the clinic and ran inside, just as Yuki was coming out of the exam room. She was holding Yuto's laundry, and she had nearly spilled it on the floor when she saw me. Takura-san.
ゆうとくん、
Yuto-kun took his
お薬を
medicine
飲ん
and
で
finally fell
やっと
asleep,
眠れ
so
たんで
please.
す。だからお願いです。
Oh.
そんなに
Why are you
慌
in
てて
such a hurry?
ののさんに
Do you
何
need to
か
talk to Nono-san?
大事な
That's
話なんだ
important. Where is she
どこに
right now?
さっきまで
She was just with
私と
me
一
and
緒にゆう
Yuto-kun.
とくん
I
のお世
think she's
話
in
を
her room right now.
今は自分のお部屋だと思います。
そうか
I see. I reminded Yuki to make sure that once the 4th began, she was never to let herself be alone. She was never to let herself be alone, I can words. Then I headed up the stairs to the dorm.
クルス
Kurisu,
Iruka.
are you here?
クルス
I knocked on the door, but there was no answer. And that was strange. If she was in the room, she should have been able to answer.
入るぞ
I'm coming in, okay? I softly turned the doorknob. It wasn't locked. I opened the door just a little and looked inside. The lights were off and the room was pitch black.
も
Did she go to sleep already? Maybe she wasn't feeling well. She tried her best to hide it, but ever since Yui had died, she'd been a mess. She wasn't eating much, and she clearly lost weight. It hurt to look at her.
うなあ
Hey,
大丈
are
夫
you
か
okay?
父さ
Should
ん
I
呼ん
call
でこよう
Dad?
か
I spoke softly as I came inside and approached the bed.
Huh?
No one was there. She wasn't lying on the bed or the sofa or sitting at the desk.
どこ行ったんだ
Where the hell did she go?
あいつ
I turned on the lights, but the room was completely empty. I remembered that she'd said something about sleeping in my room before and checked there. But it was empty too.
おい
Hey,
Kurisu!
Kurisu! I didn't want to wake Yuto, but I still shouted as I ran downstairs.
Oh,
Oh, senpai. Hey there. Harimura was in the dining room. She was flipping through the pages of a girl's magazine, looking bored.
有村すまな
Harimura,
いな
sorry.
ウキの
But
こと
can
を
you
よろ
take
しく
care
頼
of
む
Uki?
いやいや、
No, no, I'm
私
not
あ
her
の子の保護者
guardian.
じゃないっす
And
よ。
anyway, you're a target
大
too,
体
so you need
宮代
to
先
stay
輩
with
も狙わ
us.
れてるんで
Protect
すか
me
ら
and Uki both,
一緒
why
にい
don't
ない
you?
とダメでしょ。てか私とウキのこと守ってくださいよ。
Harimura frowned and glared at me.
4日になったら
Well,
そう
once
する
it's the 4th.
それより
Anyway,
クルス
have
を
you
知ら
seen
ないか
Kurisu?
クルス先輩で
Kurisu
す
senpai?
か。
She
つい
just
さっき
left.
出かけたみたいですけど。
出かけた
She left.
どうして
Why? I looked at the clock and saw that it was already past 7 p.m.
さ
I
あ、
don't know.
慌てて出
She
て行
was
き
in a
ました
hurry.
よ。
I
声を
tried
か
to
けても
talk to
なんだ
her,
か
and
生
she
返
wasn't
事
paying
で。
attention.
僕も出て
I'm
くる
leaving too.
すぐに
I'll
戻
be
る
right
から
back.
とにかくウキを
So
頼
just
む
watch Yuki for me.
ちょっ
But
と
wait, I told you, I'm not her guardian. Senpai!
先輩。
She screamed at me, but I ignored her and ran down the stairs. I had a terrible premonition, and my heart was pounding so hard it felt like it would burst out of my chest. As I was about to exit through the clinic door, Uki poked her head out from the examination room again. Takure-san, I'm sorry, but can you please be quiet? Don't worry, he's about to be gone.
そうだったね
Yeah.
何
Did
かあっ
something
たんですか。
happen?
いや
No,
Look, Kurisu
it's just
no
that
yasa.
Kurisu. Then something caught my eye in the examination room. It was Dad's computer, the one Kurisu had been using before. A pair of stereo headphones was plugged into the front audio terminal. I thought for a moment, then stopped and went into the examination room. Yuki saw the look on my face and drew back a little, as if she was scared.
父さんはいないのか
Is Dad not here?
昼から
He went
患
off
者
to
さんの
check
往
on
診
some
に出てい
patients
ま
this
す。
afternoon.
ここ
He
だと
said he couldn't
マスコ
do
ミ
it
の
here
方
with
が
all
い
the
て
media
診察に
around.
ならないって。
じゃあ
And
これ
then
は
what's this? I pointed to the headphones and Uki looked troubled. She'd probably been told not to tell me. It was definitely Kurisu who had been using them. Of course, she wouldn't need these just to browse the internet. Which meant I could guess what she was doing.
クルスのやつも
Kurisu was a liar too. Just like I turned out to be today. I turned on the computer and looked at the browsing history. She either didn't have a habit of deleting it afterward, or had been in such a hurry that she hadn't had the time to do so. The history list was still there, and when I clicked, I found a site with the first video from the Return of the New Gen Madness, the Don't Look case.
またこ
She
れを見
was
てた
looking
の
at
か
this again. I put the headphones on and pressed play. I screamed and ripped them off. The volume was so loud that I thought it would blow out my eardrums. I could hear Yuto rolling around the bed behind me, and Uki put her hand over my mouth. Stop it! Don't be loud! I made an I'm sorry gesture, and then watched as the video kept playing at loud volume. That was close. I almost went deaf. And the volume got set to maximum somehow. I quickly lowered it and then put the headphones back on and looked at the screen.
この動画を見てたん
Was
だ
she
よな
watching this?
あいつは
あ
Um,
の、
yes.
はい。
Yuki's voice was soft, so she actually had been told to keep quiet about it
これをずっと
this whole time.
いや、
No,
あの、
the video really
私そ
scared
の映
me,
像
so I
とっても
try not
怖
to
くて
watch it.
見ない
But
よ
I
うに
think
し
she
てま
kept
したか
stopping
ら
and replaying the same
でも
section
ずっと
over
じゃ
and
なくて
over.
何度も止めたり動かしたりしてた気がします。そうしたら
And then she
何
seemed
か
to
に
notice
気づいたみ
something.
たいで
She suddenly
突
told me
然
that she
自
needed
分
to
の
go
部
to
屋
her
に用
room
があるか
and
ら
asked me to
し
lock
ばらくゆうとく
Yuto-kun.
んをお願いって。それ以上は
I don't know
あ
much
ん
more
ま
than
り
that.
わから
I'm
ないです。
sorry.
ごめんなさい。
Her shoulders slumped, as if she was ashamed at her uselessness.
いや、
No,
ありがとな。
thanks anyway. I nodded and told her not to worry about it.
タクル兄ちゃん
And then I heard a frail voice.
タクル
And
兄
that's
ちゃ
you,
ん
right,
でしょ。
big bro?
起こしちゃったか。
Did I wake you?
ごめんな。
I'm sorry.
すみません
I'm sorry,
ゆうとくん。
Yuto-kun. It was Yuta. He hadn't been asleep after all. No, it's fine. I looked over at the bed and saw that the drugs had almost put him to sleep again. He was trying his best to keep his tired eyes open.
あのね、
I know
僕
what she was
知っ
doing.
てる。
え？
のの姉ちゃん
Vixis
ね、
was looking at just one part
何回も
over and over.
何回も
I could tell from the sounds of the mouse
同じと
and
こ
what
ろ
was coming out of
だけ
her
見てたよ。
headphones.
マウスを使う音とイヤホンから漏れてくる音でわかった。
何回も
Just one part
同じと
over
ころ
and
だけ。
over. She had only been watching one part of the video. But why?
まさ
No
か。
way. No way. I stared at the computer screen. Had Kurisu found something? Some clue that pointed to the killer? Did she find something in this video?
タクル
Big bro.
兄ちゃん。お姉ちゃ
Can
ん
you
の
take revenge for my
Katakyo.
sister?
取れるか
Can you
な。
catch the person who made it so?
僕と
I'll never see my sister again.
もう二度と会えなくした悪いやつ捕まえられるかな。
Yeah,
任せと
leave
け。
it to me.
僕が捕
I'll
まえてや
catch
る。
them.
絶
I'll
対に
catch them
捕
no
まえてやる
matter
から。
what.
お姉ちゃん
Yuta started to cry, so I left him in Yuki's care as I took my phone out of my pocket and dialed a number I knew very well. I grew more and more anxious with each passing ring.
クルス、
Kurisu,
どこ行ったん
where
だよ。
did you go?
早く出ろ
Pick
よ。
up the phone.
まさか一人
You
で
didn't go find the
犯人の
killer
ところに行ったん
yourself,
じゃない
did
だ
you?
ろ。
I told you not to do
Pero no,
that. But this is exactly what you would have done if you found the killer first, right? I know exactly what you'd think. I suddenly felt like I could hear her voice.
いつまでも姉貴
How long are you
ぶるな
gonna
よ。
keep pretending to be my big
泣き
sister?
虫で臆
You
病で
crybaby and a
僕に甘え
coward.
てばっ
You
かの
always
くせに
rely on me, so pick up
さっ
the
さと演
phone,
じしろよ
damn
バ
it!
カ野郎。
But the only thing I heard was the endless sound of ringing. November 3rd, 2015, Tuesday. Yutakawa-cho, Shibuya. In the path to the Hekiho Academy. Kurisu was walking alone along an empty street. Her breathing was a little heavy. She'd been walking a long time, and at a fast pace. She was wearing her school uniform. There was a school rule that said whenever you went on campus, you had to wear your uniform. It was funny to realize that she was obeying it even now. She just found a clue in the Don't Look video and asked a certain person to meet her at Hekiho Academy. The person had said they couldn't be there immediately, but that they would call her when they got to the school. So there was no need to rush. There was plenty of time until the other person would get there. And that's what Kurisu told herself. But her body kept driving her forward.
スマホ
Oh, my phone. She realized she hadn't looked at it in a long time. She must have been under more strain than she realized. She looked and saw several calls from Takeru and Arimura. She thought of stopping and heading back, but then sighed as she realized it was impossible. She couldn't go back to Alba dorm now. She saw Takeru's face. Her determination would waver. Her determination would waver, and she would change her mind. So no, the only thing she could do was go forward. Now that she'd realized the hidden truth.
ごめんね
I'm sorry.
やっ
I
ぱり
guess I'm a
嘘
liar
つきだ
after
ね
all.
私
She apologized to her absent brother and tapped the phone in her pocket. Then she glared at the hill in front of her as she readied herself for what was about to come, or what was to come rather. She had to rid herself of any kindness or sentimentality. Even if she hadn't intended to have any mercy now, she might find herself having a moment of weakness later. At night, the academy was an ominous dark silhouette amidst the dazzling lights of Shibuya. It was as if she knew what was coming. Usually there was a guard in the room attached to the front gate. For some reason, she couldn't see him. The air felt tense. She shook off her uncertainty and went inside. She went into the dark newspaper club room and turned on the fluorescent lights. Kurisu had decided to wait here for her call, but when she arrived, she found something unexpected. And it was the map that they put up to analyze the case, which had been taken down a while before. It was now back up on the wall. And there were several new pictures and pieces of information that she hadn't seen before. That was probably Takeru's doing. He'd been continuing to hunt the killer in secret, too.
タクル
Takeru,
あなた
you're a
だって
liar, too.
嘘つきじゃない
She felt herself letting her guard down as she thought of Takeru and quickly shook her head. She brought a chair close to the wall and sat down and stared at the map. Takeru had said something once,
けど
but now
最
it
近
feels
は
like the case is
その
pursuing
事件自
us.
体が逆に僕らを追ってきてるようなそんな気がするんだよ。
Looking back, several things had happened that could only be explained that way. Kurisu had decided that Takeru's life was in danger because he was a psychic, and that she was going to save him. But if the killer was just after Takeru's life, there were more direct ways to go about it. But instead, they enacted the return of the new Gen Madness killings, and claimed Yui's life in the process. It would have been easy for them to take Takeru's life as well. But just like Takeru had said, the case seemed to be slowly closing in on them from all sides. Which meant
タクルの命
they
じゃなくて
aren't after Takeru's
タクル
life.
に関する
They're after
別の
something
何かが目的
blah blah blah. They're after something else involving him. And that was the only thing that made sense. But she couldn't figure out what it could be.
ただ
But and then she saw a piece of paper on the board. Haida had Minamisawa Senri's, or Haida had Minamisawa's ID card. That impossible fact had swirled inside of her chest and sent her mind reeling. It was one of the reasons she figured out it was Haida Riko.
ただ
But I know
その目的を
who
果
it
た
is
そうと
that's working behind the
事件
scenes,
の裏で動
trying
いて
to
いる
achieve
人間が
whatever
誰
their
なの
goal
か
is.
それは分かった
It all started with the ID card that Minamisawa Senri had. That was, without a doubt, her real card. And no one but Kurisu could have known where it was. All of Senri's possessions were lying beneath the memorial. Kurisu had put them there herself. All of Senri's family had died in the earthquake. She had no surviving relatives. So after the memorial had gone up, Kurisu had put them there. Even Kawahara, the other boy who had often played with them, didn't know that. It was a secret about Senri that only Kurisu knew. But Haidoriko also knew that secret. No, she'd been given it. How was that possible?
思考盗
Mind
撮
reading. The power to see other people's thoughts and memories. Kakita, the victim in the revolving dead case, had supposedly possessed it. The killer had used it to read Kurisu's mind. And that was how they were able to find Senri's ID card.
つまり犯
In
人
other
は
words, it's
私と
someone who
接
I've
触
made
したことのあ
contact
る
with.
誰か
And now that she found out what was hidden in the Don't Look video, she had no choice but to fight them. She probably made contact with them more than once or twice. Because they were one of her closest friends.
あなたとは
And I wonder how long
ど
I've
れくら
known
いの
you
付き合いに
for.
なるんだったかしらね
She suddenly remembered their smile. Their whisper echoed off the walls, with no one to hear it. The countless after-school hours they spent together were some of the most important times in Kurisu's life. Meaningless conversations, shops they browsed together, but she couldn't think of any special memories. And that was very painful for her. Because to Kurisu, the two of them were such natural parts of each other's lives. But I have to ask, I have to find out. Even if the answer meant that things would never be the same.
それと
And there's one more thing.
もう一つ
Her thoughts went deeper. There was one more thing she had to ask. AH Tokyo General Hospital. That was where Takeru had seen Senri being experimented on 8 years ago. She'd been tied to a chair and was slowly going mad, when she then saw a boy that she didn't know, which was Takeru. She had no time to figure out who he might be. She shouted, "Help me," without even understanding what was going on. And the boy heard, but she cried out and ran. Was he surprised at the horrible scene he saw, or afraid? It was probably both. And Kurisu couldn't blame him for either. At the time, he was just a 4th grader, a 10-year-old boy. There was no way he could have saved Senri. That was why Senri didn't hate him for that. Kurisu knew that. And she tried to tell Takeru many times and failed. She failed to tell him about her one big mistake. That was why she'd always been suspicious. And that was the reason why she now knew the truth. Because that day 8 years ago, when that boy had witnessed Senri being experimented on, he was alone. He was outside the room where the experiment was being done. Just a single timid boy peeking through a tiny crack in the door. There had been no one next to him.
けど
But Takeru said he saw it with another
二人で目
person.
撃したと言っている
At first she thought that Takeru was just confused. He'd been in a coma for over a year, and he was simply mistaken. But then that person had said the same thing. That they were together. It had been a thorn in her heart for a long, long time.
本当にあな
Were
た
you
は
really with Takeru back
あの
then?
時タクルと一緒にいたの
She reached out toward the computer. But in the end, she let her hand simply float in the air. She'd seen the video dozens of times. It wouldn't be any different here than it was in Alba Dorm. Nor would the secret it concealed. Nor would it change what she was about to do. There's no changing any of it, it seemed. It took a long time before they called her. It was almost midnight. But Kurisu didn't get frustrated. She simply waited, calmly. She'd assumed it'd be around this time. They were probably waiting for November 4th, the day of the New Gen Madness.
そして私
And then they were going to do to her what they had did to the other victims. She felt her phone vibrating and took it out of her pocket. Takuri was still calling despite the late hour. He'd sent text messages too. Of course, Kurisu hadn't answered at all. Was it him again? She thought as she looked at the screen. The name she'd been waiting for had appeared on the screen. She answered the call and put the phone up to her ear.
もしもし
Hello. She heard a voice she knew well on the other end. Sorry to keep you waiting, they said.
ううん
No,
いいの
it's
よ
okay.
そん
I
なに
haven't
待
been
ってない
waiting
から
that long. And I was
そ
the
れ
one
に
who
ここへ
called you
呼んだの
here.
は私の方だし
Yeah. How
そ
about the
れじゃ
roof
あ屋
then?
上でいいかしら
Yeah. I'll be waiting.
待ってるわね
She ended the call and went to put the phone back in her pocket. But suddenly, she stopped and called up a picture on the screen. It was the photo of her family at Alba Dorm, the same as the one that was Takuru's treasure. She stared at it for a while, then placed the phone on the edge of the table, the place where she always sat when she was with the newspaper club. And something happened to her. She wanted someone else to save it. And then she looked around the room and bowed.
お世話になりま
Thank
し
you
た
for everything. She turned off the lights, and the room became as dark as the abyss. Don't look like you're never coming back. He wasn't by her side to tell her that. Damn it. I was pulling my hair out in frustration. I'd already watched this video 100 times. It was, of course, the video of Otani, the Don't Look victim. He'd wept tears of blood, lost his arm which had dyed his desk red, and died. Not only was I watching a shocking, gory video over and over again, I was desperately searching for what Kurisu had found. I felt like I was going crazy. Kurisu. Answer me, Kurisu. Each time I finished watching the video, I called her phone. But she never answered. I slammed my finger down on the end call button and started up the video again. Maybe it was something in the user comments, not the video itself. I thought it might be, so I checked everyone, but nothing that struck me as unusual. It was just a flood of meaningless comments going from right to left. And only a few of them were actually worried about Otani, which just pissed me off more. What the hell am I supposed to find in this video? I expanded it to fill the screen. I tried slowing it down, but there was nothing. Kurisu found something here.
タクルさん
And there was a hesitant knock on the door, and Yuki came in. She had probably just been crying with Yuto. She was rubbing her swollen red eyes. Where's Yuto?
先生
The
が
doctor
帰って
came
き
back
て
and is
見
looking
て
at
くれ
him.
てます
He took his
お
medicine,
薬を
so
飲ん
he'll
だ
go
の
to
で
sleep soon,
す
he
ぐに眠
says.
れるだろうって
Her voice was still a little teary.
あの 何か
Did you
わかり
figure
ました
something
か
out?
いや
No,
ダメなん
I
だ
thought nothing. Nikki looked very concerned as she watched me grit my teeth.
私
I was close to
ナナさん
Nana-san
が
when
何
she
かを
found
発見した時
something.
近くにいました
あ
Yeah.
なんだか
She wasn't
い
as
つもの
calm
冷
as she
静なナナさんじゃ
usually
なくて
was. So
だ
I'm
から
very worried.
とても心配です
Nikki seemed to be remembering what had happened. Seeing her like that only made me more worried.
クルスのやつ
How did she act?
どんな感じだったんだ？
それが
Well,
突
she
然
suddenly
立ち上
stood
がっ
up.
て、そんな
And then she
のは
said,
嘘だ
It can't
と
be
か
true.
ありえない
She
と
seemed
か
very
最初
shocked.
すごくうろたえていて、
うろたえた？
Shocked?
は
Yes.
顔
She
色も
was
真
also
っ青だっ
really
たんです。
pale. Shocked and pale? Did that mean that she knew who the killer was? And it was someone she didn't want to be the killer?
やっぱり
So was it me? Or
お前
oh
か
no way. And then I shook my head.
ごめんなさい。
I'm sorry.
本当は
If
そ
I'd
こ
been
で
able to
私
help
が
her
ノノさ
then,
んの力に
this
慣れ
never
てい
would
れ
have
ば
happened.
こんなことには。
あいや
No,
それは
it's
いいん
not
だ
your fault. I tried my best to keep her from sensing my panic as I slowly asked her another question. For now, I wanted any hint, no matter how small.
ウキ
Okay,
クルスは
so
動画
Kurisu
を見
watched
て
the
いて
video and
何か
figured
に気
something
づいた
out,
んだ
right?
がそ
And
れで
she
そのシ
watched
ーンを
that
何
scene
度も
over
見
and
直していた
over.
多
Yes,
分そうだったと思います。
それがどのあ
What
たり
part
か
was it?
わ
No,
か
you
らない
don't
んだ
know,
ったら
right? I'm
すみま
sorry.
せん。
She looked down toward the ground. I quickly shook my hand at her.
いや責めて
No,
ると
I'm
かじゃ
not
ないんだ
blaming you.
そう
I
じゃなくて
just... What should I do? What do I ask to get the hint I need? That's no good. I don't know. Tell me, Kurisu. Where's the clue? Come on, tell me.
情けないっすね
You look so pathetic,
先輩
senpai. And then, I suddenly hear a voice behind Yuki. I looked up and saw Arimura playing with her twin tails.
なんすか
What's
そ
with
の
that
顔
look? You look like you're
泣きそうじゃ
about
ない
to
ですか
cry.
うるさい
Shut up.
お前
It's
に
got
関係
nothing
ない
to
だ
do
ろ
with you. I yelled at her, even though I knew I shouldn't. And Arimura laughed.
関係な
It
くな
sure
いっ
does.
すよ
It's almost
そ
the
ろそろ
4th.
11月
And the one
4
who
日
told
に
me
な
to
るん
stay
で
by
すけど
Uki's side.
ウキのそばにくっついてろって言ったの先輩でしょ
あ
No. I'm
すまない
sorry.
あと
And you know,
クルス
I
先
actually
輩
like
のこと
Kurisu
実
senpai a
は
lot.
結構好
So
きな
you
んですよ
saying
ね
that it's got nothing to
私
do with me really
だ
pisses
か
me
ら
off.
関係ないとか言われるとすっげームカつく
Huh? Arimura's face suddenly became serious. And then she yelled.
しっかりし
Get
な
a
さい
hold of yourself.
そんなに
You
焦っ
keep
てたら
panicking like
気が
this,
つ
you're
く
not
もの
gonna
も気が
notice
つかないでしょ
anything, you
この
moron.
バカ
So true. That's what
クル
Kurisu
ス先輩な
senpai
ら
would
絶
say,
対
I
に言うと
think.
思います
有村
Arimura.
ねえウ
Hey,
キ
Uki.
ク
You
ルス
said
先
that
輩が
Kurisu
何か
senpai
にびっ
noticed
くりし
something that
て
shocked her.
で
And then
そ
she
の
watched the
後
video
映像を
again and
何度も
again,
見直したんだよね
Yes, that's right.
その時って
How was she
ど
acting
んな様
then?
子だったわけ
After she noticed
何か
whatever
に気づい
shocked
て
her.
驚いた後だよ
Arimura put her hand on Uki's shoulder and started to ask more questions.
と
She
ノ
looked
ノさん
very
すごく
serious.
真剣な
It
顔に
was
なって
kind of scary.
怖いくらいでした。
うん
Yeah,
で
and
イヤフォンに
she
じっ
seemed
と
to be
耳を澄
listening
ませる
carefully
感
on
じ
her
で
headphones,
こう
as if she was
何
trying
か
to
を
make
一生
something
懸命
out.
聞こうとしてるというか
うん
Yeah. What? And then I realized I'd missed something very simple.
僕は今まで
What the hell
何を
have
や
I
って
been
たんだ
doing? Arimura was right. I've been panicking too much because I was so worried about Kurisu.
クルスは
Kurisu was watching this
昨日
video
この動画を見て
yesterday.
たじゃないか
That's why she and I
それ
got
で僕
into
と
that
喧嘩になっ
fight.
た
But she wasn't wearing headphones then. And the computer had been set to maximum volume. What if that was deliberate?
どうしま
what is
し
it,
た
senpai?
先輩。
音だ。
The audio.
画像じゃない。
It's not the video.
音に
There's
何か
something
が
in the
あるん
audio. That's why Kurisu had worn headphones to set the sound of maximum.
だ。有村、
Arimira,
とりあえず
just
聞いて
listen
くれ
to this. I handed her the stereo headset that was connected to the computer. When I saw that she'd put them on, I set the volume to maximum and pressed play.
申し訳ない。この
So
安売
sorry.
りセー
I
ルして
bought
いた
this
チー
cheese
ズ
on
が
sale and
あ
it's
り
just
え
so
ないくらい硬
incredibly
くて。
hard. The sound was so loud that she ripped the headphones off her ears. And then she threw them at me.
ちょっと
Are you trying to destroy my
私の耳をぶっ
ears?
壊すつもりですか？
だろ
Right?
普通そうなの
That's what you would normally say.
当たり
Of course it is! And that's right. Normally you couldn't focus on anything with a sound this loud. In other words, what Kurisu had been listening to
音がほとんど入ってな
was
い
the
部
part
分
where there's barely any sound. I moved the video back to the start and played it at maximum volume.
はい。
Okay.
ではい
I'm
つも
going
通
to
り
take
3
3
分く
minutes
らい
for
募集をかけるんで
questions. Get to.
適当によろです。
The scene with him in front of the computer was too loud to listen to. Oh, come on. I'm streaming right now. The sound got a little better when he left the computer, but it still heard at maximum volume. It was hard to imagine her listening to this part over and over again. And Tony disappeared out of frame, and I stopped being able to hear what he was saying. This is the part where people thought the killer had come in. But everyone, from the police to internet users all over the country, I thought it would lead to the killer. I've been listened to millions of times in all. If it was this part, someone would have found it already.
この先
And the video gets
確
scary
か
after
怖いん
this
です
part,
よ
right?
ね。
I'll go over
私
there.
あっち行
Let's
って
go,
ます。
Uki.
行こう、ウキ。
Huh? But... Animator pulled Uki away by the hand. Uki turned and looked at me concerned.
ありがとう、ウキ。
Thanks, Uki.
もう
I'm
大丈
okay
夫だ
now.。Thank you
有
too,
村も
Arimura.
ありがとうな。
必ず
Make sure you
クリ
find
ス先輩を
Kurisu
見つけて
senpai,
ください
okay?
ね。
はあ、
Yeah.
二人も
Don't
4
get
日になった
separated
ら
once the
絶対に
fourth
離れ
starts,
るな。
okay?
トイレ
Even
も
in the bathroom. What?
何かあったら大声で
Yell
叫
loud
べ
if something
すぐに
happens.
行く。
I'll be right there.
お
Okay.
願いします。
Thank you.
期待しないで待
Sure,
って
but I'm
ま
not
す。
expecting much. Once I made sure that Ayumida and Uki had gone up to the dining room, I started to check out all the parts of the video with white noise. Not here. Not here either. No, there was nothing here. And we're in this scene. Nothing here either. There are small sounds mixed in with the irritating white noise. It was harder than it looked to focus all your nerves on them. My hearing started to fade, and I started to lose my sense of balance. My head felt heavy, and I suddenly had a terrible headache. I grit my teeth and fought through the pain. Kurisu had gone through this, and in the end she found something. I had to do the same. And then, I heard a tiny noise. I paused the video without even realizing I'd done so.
今の。
What was that?
あ
I put my finger on the headphone in my right ear and pushed it in deeper so I could hear better. I then used my left hand to move the video back and press play again.
なんだ
What is this sound? It was the scene where Otani was cutting what he described as cheese beneath the dim fluorescent lights. In between the sounds of the knife, I could hear something else.
もう一回
One more time. I played the video again.
この音
And I know I've heard this
確
sound
か
before.
どこかで
I knew that sound. I'd heard it very recently, very close to me. I played it again and again. I concentrated everything I had on picking out the tiny sound from amidst the noise. What? I finally realized what it was. Suddenly, I felt a cold pillar of ice had been pressed against my spine. No, you could call it sheer terror if you wanted to. My hands shook and sweat poured out of every pore in my body. I felt like the room was spinning.
嘘
This can't be real, can it? Shit. I slammed my shaking hands down on the desk, and the pain finally got them to do what I wanted. It took me several tries, but I finally managed to open my Pokécom and power it on. I yanked out the headphones from the PC and plugged an audio cable into my Pokécom.
嘘だ
No. No. I kept screwing it up, but managed to load that scene into an audio editing software. I set the volume to maximum and set it on repeat. And then I hit the play button with my hand still shaking. This
嘘
can't
だ
be real. I slammed the Pokécom down on the floor and called to her on my phone. The phone rang and rang. Once, twice, 3 times.
やっぱりクリス
Could you notice the
こ
sound?
の音に気づいて
It kept ringing. 6 times, 7, 8. It was like she was ignoring me.
ダメだって
No,
な
she's not picking up. I ended the call, and this time I pulled up Kurisu's number. I tapped the call button, but I got the same result.
なんで
Why?
なんでだ
Why?
よ
They kept ignoring me. No matter how long I waited, I couldn't hear Kurisu's voice. Damn it all! I hung up the phone and ran out of the room, not even knowing where I was going. November 4th, 2015, Wednesday. The roof was normally a place for students to laugh and talk. But under the cold moonlight, the empty benches seemed silent and sad. Kurisu looked at the benches and shivered once more. It wasn't just because of the cold. It was because she had realized that this place was truly empty. And of course it was. No one was allowed to be here at this hour. It was an isolated place, where the warm light didn't reach. Only the cold light did. No matter what happened here, the rest of the world wouldn't know. It wouldn't exist outside of this place.
おあつら
It
いの
almost
きすぎ
seems too perfect. It was so perfect for her that it was almost sad, Kurisu thought. While Kurisu was waiting for her to arrive, she hadn't been thinking about the case. Strangely, she'd been thinking about her family and friends instead. But had she always said to her family before she left to come here in the morning? Did they smile? The younger students who'd helped her with the student council's work. The talks she'd had with her classmates about the latest fads. The brief fights in the lunchroom, forgotten as soon as the bell rang to tell them to go back to class. Each time she started to lapse too deep into her memories, a cold wind would blow and pull her back into reality. And then she realized something, with a self-abasing laugh. She knew it. The reason Nona wasn't thinking about the case was because that part of her was sure she already knew everything. As she asked, she would get the fatal answer that would lay bare the truth. And when she finally heard the answer, And strong wind blew, as if to carry away her thoughts, as she closed her eyes for a moment. And when she opened them, she heard the sound of a rusty door opening.
のんちゃん？
Kirisu's lips twisted a little when she heard her say that.
のんちゃんか。
Non-san, huh? It made her mad to hear herself called that. She felt heat rising from the bottom of her stomach. It was time to begin.
本当に悪
I'm
かったわ
really
ね
sorry to bring you out here
こん
so
なところ
late.
に呼び出してね
Hey,
お
on
の
the
え
way. Non-chan?
のんちゃん？
Did she realize that Kurisu was addressing her by her last name now? Or did she sense something indistinctively? Serika repeated herself, this time with a suspicious look on her face. She tried to get closer, but a glance from Kurisu stopped her. Serika froze.
答えなさい
Answer me.
あな
Was
たな
it
の
you?
何が？
Was what me?
答えなさい
Answer me. Kurisu repeated her words to her former best friend, the one person outside of her family that she called by first name. But Serika's expression didn't change. It was the same face Kurisu knew so well. The same look that Serika wore when she bought a crepe and started wondering what was inside. Thinking back, the two of them went shopping together all the time. Onoe had insisted that she looked fine without makeup, and Kurisu had insisted on buying her some anyway. It had been a lot of fun. And they were always together in the club. She argued against Takuru's reckless plans, stopped Kazuki from pounding on the walls. The two of them were always amazed at the stupid things Ido-kun said. They'd always been laughing together. But now...
第一の事
You were
件
the... Blah, blah,
あ
blah.
そこにいた
You
の
were
は
there at the scene of the
Anata
first
yo ne.
murder, weren't you? I don't know what you're
わかんない
talking
よ
about,
のんちゃん。
Non-chan. Where is this
さっきから
coming
何よ
from?
映像に音
There
が
was a
入
sound
って
in the
た
video. A sound I
私の
knew
よく知
very
ってる音
well.
がね
In the Don't Look video. She heard that strange sound that Serika's Geryu Froggy always made. Serika had a bad habit of unconsciously fiddling with it whenever she was focusing on something. Kurisu took a step forward to stop herself from falling over, and glared at Serika with a challenge in her eyes. That's right. Kurisu was glaring at Serika. Wait, Non-chan.
答えなさい
I
って
told
言
you
って
to
るでしょ
answer me. Serika staggered back at the sound of her loud footsteps. Finally, her expression changed. And there was fear in it.
ユイは
Our family
私
lost
たちの
Louie.
家族から消えてしまった
Lost Louie?
死んでしま
Our
った
family
の
lost Yui. She's
もう帰って
gone.
こない
And
の
she's never coming back.
どうして
Why?
あん
Why
なこ
did you
とを
take
した
her
の
away from us? Serika stayed quiet, the terrified expression still on her face. Was she really terrified by Kurisu? Or was she trying to fool her? Or... Kurisu took another step forward.
8年前の
On
あの
that
日
day, 8 years ago,
あの病院の
did
地
you
下に
really go down into
あなたは
that
いたの？
hospital basement?
タクルと
Were
一
you
緒
really
に
there with Takeru?
本当にいたの答えられ
You
ないわ
can't
よ
answer
ね
me, can you?
だって
Because you weren't actually
あな
there.
たは絶
I
対に
know
あそ
that
こには
better
い
than
なかったもの
anyone.
それはそれじゃ
So,
あ
who
なたは
are
一
you?
体誰
Kurisu's question was something she'd wondered about ever since Onoe had said she'd gone into that basement with him. It was the one thing she'd been unsure of, which she'd kept quiet about to protect her own secret. Until a little while ago, it seemed like it didn't matter. She was willing to go her whole life without finding out, because Onoe Serika was someone she loved. But now,
言いなさい。
tell me,
あ
who
なたは
are you?
誰？
But Serika said nothing, not a word. Did she really not know anything? The thought crossed her mind for a moment, but she quickly kicked it away. And that was just what she wanted to believe. She had her suspicions about Serika for a long time, but she ignored them because she was too afraid to ask. And the result of that had been Yui's death. Kurisu raised her hands and brought them together, as if offering up a prayer. And the next moment... Yeah, I saw that coming. Nice D-sword. She brought them down, hard and straight, as if swinging a sword. Serika moved back just a little. Her movement might have looked like Her movement might have looked like pure reflex, but Kurisu didn't miss it. Which meant...
やっぱり
So, I was right.
そうなのね。
That was the answer to everything.
そう
So,
だった
that
の
was
ね。
it, huh? Serika's eye shape changed. Serika's face became blank and expressionless. She didn't frown or sigh at her own failure. Her manner became that of a beautiful doll.
セリ
She was right. She'd been ready for it, but she still couldn't help but cry. She tried to stop herself. She gritted her teeth. But Serika's gaze wasn't fixed on her anymore. She stood, legs apart, as if judging the distance between herself and the thing, and the seemingly empty space between them.
間違いない。
No question about it. She could see what Kurisu was holding. And now, it was Serika's turn to look into her eyes. Her eyes were different than Kurisu had ever seen before. It was as if they saw everything. No, that's not right. Suddenly, Kurisu realized. And it wasn't just a smile, or simile. Her eyes really did see everything. It was telepathy. A terrible, twisted power, which could expose all of your most treasured secrets. Kurisu heard the sound of herself clenching her jaw. And then she forgot the tears and turned herself over to the rage that was boiling within her. It had been 6 years since she'd rebooted it, and it was almost sad how easily it came into her hand. A D-sword. A monstrous blade that only those with the power to transform delusions into reality could wield. She refused to look away from the light that she never wanted to see again, as she pointed the blade at her opponent.
あなたよね。
You were the one using Minami-sawa's
戦利を
Senri,
使っ
weren't
てい
you?
たのは。お前に言われた
I
く
don't
な
want to
いよ。
hear that from you of all
Kurisu-nono.
people, Kurisu Nono. Her voice made Kurisu shiver. Ooh, that's cool. I like it. Gimme. And a blade even more wicked than her voice appeared in Serika's hands, opening like a blooming poisonous flower. It was beautiful. For a moment, Kurisu was blinded by the beauty of the weapon. She forgot that it threatened to cut into her soft flesh. Ellipsis. Serika leapt off the ground. She closed the distance between them in an instant. Kurisu brought down her own sword as hard as she could, without even time to follow her movements. And as she screamed,
ごめんね。
I'm sorry. She heard her own voice. By the time she realized she was talking to Takeru, it was already too late. The light flashed in front of her, as if driving the thought from her mind. Why? Why, Serika? The same thought kept going through my head like I was an idiot. I mean... I couldn't think straight. Why? Why was she... What was she doing at the murder scene? Damn it. The saliva caught at my throat as I moaned in pain. It took a lot of effort to keep myself from falling over. Damn it, I don't have time to waste here. Huh. I stopped when I heard a sound. And it was in front of a familiar place, but I wasn't sure. But it wasn't the one I was heading to. I was on my way from Aoba dorm to Serika's condo in Daikanyama. What was that? I saw something strange in the corner of my eye and looked up at the school building. The school at night was an imposing sight, and on top, I could see a feeble light, like a fluorescent bulb that was about to burn out. I started to run, dragging my feet forward as I went. I raced up the stairs of the building without even bothering to take off my shoes. The lights in the yard illuminated my face with a certain rhythm as I ran. But that light was something different. That strange dull light. It was the light of a D-sword. I made it to the top of the stairs and slammed straight into the door. I yanked it open, trying my best not to think about what I'd find beyond. And the first thing I saw wasn't the light of the D-sword, but instead the red. My heart beat loudly once, and then all was silence. I didn't feel anything at all. It was as if I'd been completely frozen at what I saw. She was laying on the ground in front of me. Her clothes were red. Someone was in front of her, looking over their shoulder at me. No, not someone. I knew her. But she looked different than I'd ever seen before. And a deadly weapon in her hands made me shiver. And that weapon was deeply, deeply... And strong wind blew toward the opened door. It was as if someone was trying to push me back in. As if they were trying to get me away from the threat in front of me. She'll kill you too. Run away, now! Was the voice I heard an illusion? Or was it the voice of the person I cared about, who was now lying on the floor? Yeah, that's fair. And suddenly, all sound disappeared. My head hurt like hell. I ignored it. All the doubts I'd had, all the feelings that told me it was a lie, I left them all behind. Behind? It was only when I saw the distance between us was closing rapidly that I realized I had started running. A meaningless scream poured from my throat. I could tell from the way my throat was vibrating, but I couldn't hear the sound at all. I kept running, but everything seemed to be passing by me in slow motion. I felt a pulsing in my brain. My hand reached out for nothing at all. Until now, I'd never been able to touch it, but now I could easily grab it. What was I touching? What was I holding? Some fragment of useless rationality was still within me, asking me these stupid questions. I'm holding the thing that's going to slice her apart. My own delusions, which had manifested through real booting. A twisted blade that weighed nothing at all. When I swung my D-sword, it was more than close enough to hit her. She already turned around and raised her D-sword up from below. Why did she have a sword too? I didn't know. But before I could think about it, I brought down my weapon with all my might. Sadako blocked it without making a sound. No, that wasn't right. My D-sword stopped before she could block it. Right before it would hit her.
どうした
What's wrong? I heard a voice I'd never heard before. I saw a look I'd never seen before. I couldn't move. She hadn't done anything to me. There was no mind control. I was the one in control. But my hands had stopped, as if they'd struck an invisible wall. I can read. Why? Why?
来ないのか
You're not going to do it? Why can't I move? Why will my arms, my legs? My feelings caught up to me. My reason came back. My heart finally started to scream. This can't be happening. It can't. Why would Sirika do this? There's no way this could be real. The pounding headache I'd forgotten came back, and I fell to my knees. My head felt like it was going to split in half. I grabbed it with both hands. At some point, my D-sword had disappeared. The will that I tried to strike Serika with was already gone. I dug my nails in and closed my eyes. I could feel the veins on my forehead pulsing with my hands. I felt something sticky on my knees. And I smelled a mild perfume. And it was just like before, when my little sister had been killed and ripped apart. Again. This is happening again. It was the blood of someone who was every bit as important to me as my little sister, Kurisu no. Who did this? Who was the one that attacked her with the blade cold eyes? No! I'm telling you, it can't be Onoe! I tried to use my rage to drive the thought away, but I couldn't. I heard a wordless voice. I forced my eyes to open. Sedeko was already gone. I looked around with blurry eyes, but there's no light from her D-sword, and no sign of her at all. I called over to Kurisu.
Kurisu!
She was crying. Large tears fell silently from her vacant eyes. Her chest was stained red, and each time she breathed, more blood came out.
Kurisu!
I pushed my hands up against her wound. But despite how hard I tried to close up the wound, more and more dark, sticky liquid just came pouring out, staining my hands red. Somebody! I don't know what to do. How do I save her? I'm just going to suffocate. As she started to cough, I put my hand behind her head and quickly turned it to the side. Blood poured forth from her mouth and fell on the ground. Don't talk. It's okay. You're gonna be okay. Okay, how is this okay? She's bleeding so much. She's in so much pain. Why is this happening? I told you not to talk. Kurisu's face twisted and she started to cry again. And then... she suddenly grabbed my hand that was on her chest. And her grip was so weak. In that moment, I felt an indescribable chill in my heart. Wow, I can't read. Come on. Grab tighter. Be stronger. It's like you're going to die. Her breathing was getting so shallow that she couldn't even speak. But she tried to grab my hand and bring it next to her head. No, I need to keep the wound closed. But it looked like she shook her head just a little. And then she slowly brought my hand up to her face and put it to her lips. And the red from my fingers clung to her purple lips and shone like beautiful gloss. No. The sensation on my fingers was soft but terribly cold. And that's when I knew. Yeah, she's going to die after all. No, that can't happen. I can't. I'm sorry. Her hand moved away from mine and fell to the ground. No. The name fell from my lips. And it was the first time I'd said it in half a year. Hey. No. It was the name of my big sister who'd always protected me. Wake up! No. I lifted her up and held her tightly in my arms, but she didn't move at all. Why? How is this happening? Hey, no. I called her name again and again, knowing that from now on, she would never answer me. At some point, midnight had passed and it was November 4th. The last of the Return of the New Generation Madness murders had occurred right before my very eyes. We have just received an extremely unusual announcement from the police. It is a warrant for the arrest of a minor, issued under their real name. The announcement says that as of 12:30 a.m. today, November 4th, the police have issued a warrant for a person of interest in the series of murders that occurred in Shibuya Ward, Tokyo. This is a national arrest warrant for Miyashiro Takuru-kun, a third-year student at Hekiho Academy. I repeat. I lost my balance and fell over. I couldn't use my hands to break my fall, so a sharp pain raced through my shoulder instead. Some ash has gone into my mouth too. I tried to get up, but the weight and warmth on my back wouldn't let me. Serika hadn't woken up for a while. She was still breathing. I could still feel the beating of her heart. She was fine. I could taste blood as well as ash. I must have cut my lip when I fell. Damn it. I somehow managed to stand up without dropping Serika, cursing as I did so. Shower. I just couldn't keep lying on the ground here. My goal, AH Tokyo General Hospital in Yoyogi, was a long ways away. It was fine, I would get there no matter what. Neither Serika nor I were going to die here. Hey, this way, come on! Huh? I saw people crowding around what probably used to be a store. I heard what sounded like someone calling for help, and someone else saying that they'd brought water from a broken vending machine. It was evidently being used as a temporary shelter. Should I stop by? And I was thirsty. I wanted water. No, I couldn't. That wasn't my priority, I knew that. I had lots of scrapes and small cuts, but none of my wounds were fatal. In an emergency like this, the most important thing wasn't food or water, it was finding a safe place. I learned that on the internet one time. And since I didn't know what was wrong with Serika, she needed a specialist to look at her. And there's no telling what might happen here in Shibuya. It was better to head to AH Tokyo General Hospital in Yoyogi. And that's right. I'm a right-sider. And that makes me better than the wrong-siders who are staying here. I ignored them and passed by. I licked the back of my cuspids. I don't know what that is, but okay. So that my body could make more saliva and I'd feel less thirsty. There was another trick I'd learned. I wasn't ignorant like the rest of these people. Teeth. I see. Did I say the word right at least? Is this okay? Okay, press down here. I did, yippee. I know things sometimes. I can have a little knowledge as a treat. Something seemed strange. I suddenly realized that I recognized some of the voices from the shelter. Oh. I looked and saw that they belonged to my classmates. Like, if you recall correctly, your bicuspids are the ones right in front of your molars. Interesting. Weird. I almost never went to school, but I vaguely recognized a few members of the group. There was an adult woman lying on the ground in between them. There was blood coming from her stomach and her head. My heart skipped a beat. I just barely managed to stop myself from falling over. Why? My classmates seemed to be trying to save her. They were each taking turns holding down on her injuries, not caring that their hands would be covered with blood. Why? Why are you doing that? All you ever do is talk about stupid crap and you never listen to me. Why aren't you panicking? You guys don't know anything, right? About priorities or cuspids? Why aren't you screaming? Why aren't you running away? Why are you so calm? You never did anything useful with your time. You can't even use the internet. All of your information is low quality. Miyashiro? Is that you, Miyashiro? One of them saw me and ran over. Then he started asking me a lot of questions. Are you alright? Do you have any water? Can't you help us? Each new question came before I had a chance to answer the last one. I knew his face, but I didn't know his name. So how did he know my name? How could he remember it at a time like this? Why? The word got stuck on my throat and I couldn't get it out. I didn't even know what I was trying to ask. Isn't it obvious? Are you saying we should just let her die? I didn't know how he interpreted my response, but he suddenly started yelling. And then he grabbed my arm and told me to come with him. Wait. The woman's hurt. I have to save her. No, I have to get to AH Tokyo General Hospital. I saw lots of injured people on the way here. Blah, blah, blah. And that's right. This place is dangerous. My top priority is finding someplace safe. That's what my information told me. No matter how hard he pulled, I didn't move. Nothing moved, actually. It felt like I was outside of my body, watching him pull it. Why can't I move? Am I scared? Of course I'm scared. If she's hurt, then I should help her, just like my classmates are. I mean, I'm not like them, right? I'm a right-sider. No, they're doing the right thing. I should help them. What should I do? Forget it. You're a useless piece of shit. Get lost. He spat out those words as he let go of my arm. He ran back to his friends, and they all started to take turns pressing down on her injuries again. He whispered something to them, and they all looked at me for a moment. There was disgust in their eyes. Their eyes said more than words ever could. I hope I never end up like him, they said. Next thing I knew, I was running. Not because I had to get to the hospital, but because I wanted to get away from them. I don't remember where I ran. Each time someone lying on the ground begged me for help, I ran faster and in a different direction. I closed my eyes so I couldn't see anything, then tripped. I held my ears so I couldn't hear anything. My body was shaking. I felt coldness pressing in from all around me, the likes of which I never felt before. Why am I running? I'm a right-sider. While they were busy learning about useless nonsense at school, I spent my time looking up worthwhile information, becoming smarter than them. I should be the one looking down on them. That's right. That's right. I know all kinds of things that they don't. Are they treating her injuries right? Are they doing it in the right order? I should go back and tell them what to do. I'm sure that I can make the right decisions. Takeru? I was very surprised when I saw who'd just spoken to me. It was my mom and dad. What are you doing here? Only then did I realize where I was. It was the shelter outside of AH Tokyo General Hospital. I'd made it. It doesn't matter. Let's go. This hospital's no good. Dad motioned to Mom and I to keep moving. Why? Someone just said this place was safe. They're overloaded. And anyway, we need to get further away. There's no telling when the aftershocks will hit. It looks like there really is. Looks like there isn't. Looks like there really isn't much damage to the north. The company's building is close. Let's use the car there. What? I didn't hear anything about that. Takeru, what are you doing? Hurry! When she grabbed my arm, the sensation from earlier came back and I shook her off. Takeru, what are you doing? Don't start causing problems again. You're saved! Saved? I'm saved?
いいから
Just come with me. Mom screamed and pulled me alongside her as she followed Dad. I went too, my legs moving as if they weren't my own.
助かる
Saved? Saved from what? The hell I just saw? Now I'm being saved from it? By people who've never even cared about me before? Suddenly, I felt a very sharp pain in my head. I shook off her arm. My mom was screaming, but I didn't know what she said. I couldn't hear her. My head hurt and I didn't know why. My vision started to blur and I could feel my body starting to go numb. My nails were now digging into my scalp, but I couldn't feel them. I tried my hardest to think through the pain. Saved? Me? Why? You people have always neglected me, but now you're going to save me? Why? You two just happened to find me here, which means you were about to leave me behind, weren't you? You ignored me for so long and now you're going to save me? And I'm supposed to accept that? Pain shot through my temples, like I was being stabbed with something sharp. No. That wasn't what you were supposed to say. This isn't what's supposed to happen to me. This isn't the information I was supposed to get. All the wrong-siders in my class are doing the right thing and looking down on me. I'm a right-sider. I'm the person who's supposed to know what to do when everything goes wrong. I'm not like those preening jackasses online. I actually went on a dangerous adventure, and they looked at me like I was less valuable than some random meme and joke site. And now you people are going to save me? You, the people who just gave me 1,000 yen instead of taking me out to dinner on my birthday? Hell no. I'm not the kind of person who just gets saved by parents who don't even want him. Shut up. You just think I'm in the way, don't you? Well, I think the same thing. You're in my way. Just, what do I do? What do I want to do? Why am I here? I suddenly thought of my childhood friend, who was supposed to be on my back. That's right, where's Serika? I only now remembered that I originally came here to save Serika, but I couldn't feel her on my back through the pain in my head. And that's right, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm saving her life. Serika will understand. She always tells me what I'm doing is right. She always understands what I have to do. She's always on my side. And the pain went beyond my capacity to endure it. Suddenly, my whole field of vision went white. Shut up, you people should just go away forever. Serika, save me. Please. Please. Please, give me. Chapter 10, Serika Onoe, Her Intentions. Oh, fucking boy. And this is where we get to end for the night. Isn't that lovely? Isn't this nice? Isn't everything just so swell and wonderful? And what more could you want in this game? You don't like it here anymore? That's fair. Understandable. Have a nice day. I have a theory. I think Serika is one of Takuru's delusions. Kind of like how Takumi was one of Takumi's own delusions. As redundant as that sounds. That is my hunch for right now. Either way, I don't trust the information of her being the killer, because why would this game actually give us the killer in the first common route? Like, this game doesn't do that. The game does not do that. Like, we didn't know who the killers were in the first game until, like, the end, you know? So, I don't trust any information about that right now. I am really curious to see how this common route will wrap up, though. It would be interesting if it, like, low-key pulls how the, like, normal route for the first, like, Chaos Head was, where how, like, it looped back perfectly to the very beginning of the game. But I don't know if you can quite do that with this one, just because it starts off with a bit of a recap about the melt, or whatever the fuck it was called, the not earthquake. So but boy, things do keep on happening. I wonder how many cast members we'll have left by the end of the common route, because we're already down a few. In a way, there was kind of two callbacks, too, with, you know, two girlies with D-swords having a fight on a rooftop, but then also important character getting killed on a rooftop. Plus, barring Kimijima Ko, the main villain of these games tends to be a faceless group, not a villain. And Ko being a lone wolf was the twist. Yeah, there's that. But at the same time, Ko was still part of that faceless group at the same time. Like, Kimijima Ko was special, to put it simply, but I guess there's also a similarity with Ko and the two that actually did the killings in Chaos Head, because they thought they were also serving the committee of 300 like Ko was thinking he was, despite acting very much on his own. And the two in Chaos Head were doing what they were told to from their little cult thing. Very great for them. These games are so, I need to fucking lie down. That's fair. Understandable. Have a nice day. Man. Just man. It's nice, though, in a way, that because, like, Robotics Notes was so mild in comparison. Like, what the fuck? So true. So true. I feel a little bad for not really adding much commentary at all this time, but I was just so focused on doing the reading. It's like, you know? Man. Just man. These last two Chaos Child streams have been some of the most heart-wrenching content for real. Yeah, I'm glad that you got caught up enough, at least, because I feel like if you didn't, you would have been, a little left out. Like, you still would have been in there, but, like, you know, you would have missed a lot of context. Takeru is a much more likable protagonist than Takumi. That is true. Like, it took a minute to, like, warm up to Takumi, but it took a lot less time to warm up to Takeru. Him sounding like Alice from Taisho Alice helped, though. His relationship with Nono is very complex and interesting, and no, definitely not actually creepy. Takeru does need a hug, and to take a nap probably. You're right. I'm not surprised that he's being blamed for, the murders as it currently stands. I do wonder how he's going to be navigating that till we get to the end of this ending. Yeah, because Takumi also was blamed for all the, like, new gen madness murders, like the first ones. So, like, that's another, like, callback. You're so upset because you do like this cast a lot. That's fair. Everyone so scrunches them. Felt. If anything happens to Uki, you will cry. That's valid. I don't trust this game series to keep Uki safe, though. I'll be honest. Like, I'm sure she'll be fine in the truest of endings, but on the way to that truest of endings, I don't trust that she'll be fine. Chaos Child will be living in our heads rent-free until the next stream, I'm sure of it. And I'm sure we'll live in our heads even more rent-free after getting the normal route ending, you know? Thank you guys so much for joining. As always, I do appreciate your support, especially when I have less commentary to offer. You're not looking forward to learning more about Kunla Sato. You foresee something along the lines of Sena Morika, and given this game so far, yeah, I do think you're right about her character serving a similar purpose as Sena Morika. You want to bully the dust for putting you through this? That's fair, understandable. Have a nice day. But yeah, I'll catch you all next time, be it tomorrow or next week when we are getting our common route ending. But yeah, until then, bye bye everyone. Blah blah blah.